I can't be controlled cause I don't need a deal. They say you going way too far, you need to chill. Sorry, I don't really care about how you feel. I can't bow down to the mob cause I'm too real. I can't be controlled cause I don't need a deal. They say you going way too far, you need to chill.
I was gonna say,
sorry, I don't really care about how you feel.
I resurfaced on purpose, I'm Houdini. Now I ain't going nowhere like I'm Tim Pool's beanie.
I got permanent. And that's why I ask what that is, so people could kind of get some context of what is he supposed to do. What these gentlemen are talking about is, I don't know if you ever heard what is called the Monroe Doctrine of 1823, right? The Monroe Doctrine.
Talk heavy to him.
The Monroe Doctrine, in short, is to ensure U.S. imperialism. That's what all the presidents are supposed to do. And they're doing that by projection of power. Basically, what these gentlemen are talking about, that's military power, economical power, social power. So that's that. To summarize all that, the Monroe Doctrine in 1823, that's what the president is supposed to do. Yeah,
that is what the president is supposed to do. And we have been in a state of martial law easily since 1933, easily, right? With the Banking Secrecy Act, with the trading, and really as early as 1917 with the Trading with the Enemies Act.
Get off NBA 2K, please.
I'm on 2K too, bro. But yeah, no. So that's the, like, man, bro. And this is what I'm saying. People will hear this and say, "Oh, but what are you talking about, man? Let's just focus on the solution." How can you even begin to discuss a solution with me when you don't even understand the problem at a surface level or the depths of it, right? People are under mass psychosis. And so when we think about a president, and you brought up James Monroe. See that? I love that, right? Because when we bring up the founding fathers, when we understand Federalists versus anti-Federalists, when we understand really that initial period when the colonies allegedly won the war and they defeated George and Britain, but they never actually got from under the authority of the bankers, because the Rothschild family, which owned the Bank of England, funded both countries, right? So that's why the Articles of Confederation had to be changed and the Constitution had to be presented as it is now. And then, as it was then in 1787. But then it had to be modified. They created the first continental bank of the United States and it failed. America was in debt. Guess what it had to do? It had to sell its 20% of shares that it owned in its own country to pay off the Bank of England. Guess who's one of the first president ever to rebel against the banks? Andrew Jackson. Now, sure, this man was also a murderous, slaughtering, imperialist himself, but he was opposed to the bankers. Adams and Jefferson were opposed to the bankers. But
don't forget.
But you know who was a proponent of the bankers? Hamilton. Hamilton was a puppet of the Rothschild family.
Don't forget that what was it? Berlin at the time, Germany, I guess. The U.S. was carrying that country for what? Jesus, for a long period of time, because they have to pay repatriation to the damage they caused over in World War I, right? Or is it one or two? One of those wars. And it was a loan. When the New York stock market crashed, they couldn't support that. So it had to be World War I. They couldn't support them anymore, and they quit paying out to France, to UK. They quit paying their recompense to them based on what they're supposed to go fix. Italy didn't get their share of anything because they're pissed, and that's what kicked off World War II, right? Because they developed, after all that is said and done, they developed these three iron triangles: the IMF, I think it was like League of Nations before, but it's called NATO now, and there's another one I just can't remember.
The Trilateral Commission.
Right.
Council on Foreign Relations, the IMF, the World Bank.
Yeah, chess players now. They're playing chess with the whole world now, basically. So, man. So I mean,
the last
the
battle
machine
of
is real, bro.
Europa. Yeah. Yep. See, and that's the thing. People talk about New World Order, but we've been in a New World Order for a long time.
We've been in it. Yep, we've been in it
for a
bro.
long time. And
Anywhere,
the thing is now, like look at what happened today, right? All over the news. Kamala just, I guess she didn't sign a bill into effect, but she convened, or whatever the word is, commenced. Whenever you close out, whenever you slam the gavel, I can't think of the word right now. But
she finalized something.
Well, yeah, she finalized a increase, on I guess on some type of tax rate. I have to go do more research, but an increase on tax rate, and funded the IRS with, I want to say, $1 trillion or something crazy like that, or $1 billion to get 87,000 new agents. Because what we have to understand, guys, is we are in the age of awakening. And so as people like myself and like the people on the panel begin to wake up, and we begin to teach others about the awakening, their tricks, their trickonology, right, is going to increase rapidly and drastically, because they're going to have to do.
You actually become a threat.
That's the thing. This is why there was a manufactured weapon released on the entire world that didn't even have a high fatality rate, but rather was able to inject fear into the deepest core of humanity, and fear leads to subsiding to control. And so and this is what that was a test. They said, look, people are waking up. Our regime, our empire is at risk, right? Because let's keep it 100. This happened before, but they were able to successfully eradicate the most important people in the movement, and they halted it. They temporarily stopped it. When they killed Malcolm and they killed Martin, they put a fat ass pause on our salvation, because those two men, the spirit that existed inside of them, even Martin with all of his transgressions and Malcolm with all of his transgressions, at the end, they were on a united front. They were already beginning to put aside religious differences. They were interested in the African American Organization of Unity, forming a partnership there. Martin Luther King died days after, telling America, bro, we finna come get our check. We want our land back.
Before I calm down, I just wanna give a moment of silence for Sunni's pants, because those are happening. I'm with it. Mad love to all of you guys. Sunni, why are your pants so cool?
You can't even hear
her. Because they're American.
Yeah.
Named it. Nailed it. Stuck the landing. The whole nine. Just give it a little hands up, and
this is also where they trying to take Alex Jones.
Guys, I just want to say that I think that these kinds of conversations are important, and we should continue to bring more people into the scope of it, because one thing that I know was not intentional, but is our power in this space, is some folks will not have lights all throughout Africa, but they'll have a cell phone, and they'll charge that data, and they will tap in, and they will listen, and they will gain an understanding of certain things that they might think are a way that they are not. So let's keep being intellectual, because that's our natural being. That's truly our natural being. So yeah, I'm gonna go hug on my wife because she's pregnant and she needs me.
Well, congrats, man.
Congrats, man. Yeah, you go. You know what I'm saying? Go run that belly, bro.
Yeah.
And feet, massage them feet and stuff.
Indeed. Peace and blessings, bro.
Yeah, whole time. Yeah, man, we're in quite a pickle, bro. We're in, and I say we because we're not thinking individually. If I was to think individually, I would say I'm sitting pretty.
Hey,
But
what? I'm good.
yeah, but we don't move like that. So we need when we're on top of the hill, we need to show people that, hey, this is how I do it. This is what we see, and you either get on board or you don't, man. Can't really slow it down too much for certain folks
Well,
because
yeah, and
that's just
and
how it
and
is.
that's why, like, the whole idea of, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, man. I be mentally exhausted. That's why I gotta, I stay away from certain lives with
Yeah,
rare exception, because I don't understand how people get in here every day and literally talk about the same thing. I mean, identically every day, and
bro.
it's the same talking points. And
Ah,
it's like, bro, wait a minute, bro. Like, are you a
mm.
robot? Are you a natural person? Like, I'm. Who are you, bro? Like, what type of life do you have to get up here every day and be a repeat robot? You
It
know what I'm
puzzles
saying?
the fuck out of me. It puzzles me. I
Bro,
ain't not gonna lie.
it puzzles me, bro. And then
Mhm.
the thing is you want to bunch everybody together, bro. Like, bro,
Mm.
here you are talking about the problems of black people, and all black people don't even like you or how you act or behave or think, and they would not rock
Yeah,
with you
that's
in
just
real
about to
life
request.
ever.
He's about to
Oh,
request, right?
Oh,
I'm
he in
sorry.
here?
He's in there.
Oh, bring him up, man.
I don't see anybody.
I
Bring
know.
him
I
up,
want to hear
man.
this guy have a conversation. That'll be interesting.
Oh, okay. I wasn't reading the comments. I don't know who was talking what,
Oh, it's just like
but
good
mm,
Democrat friend. He goes by the name of Mitch. What's
Democrat,
up, my
huh?
Democrat
I was one
buddy?
of those. I was one of those.
What's up? What's
Hey,
up? What's up?
man,
What's up?
hey, bro, I voted for the I voted for the best Democratic president in history, bro. Barack Obama, bro.
There you
I
go.
was one of those. Then
I mean,
yeah, I see.
besides John F.
I saw
Kennedy.
the tea leaves. Are like, okay, I see what y'all doing. Honestly, hey, Joe Biden, I'm not a fan of him. I wasn't. I was very upset at how he. Listen, I gotta actually give him credit to his political advisor. Whoever that person is tip top. They understand the temperature and the social dynamics of this country, and they use it
Ooh,
very, very, very well.
heavy talk.
Because did you know that when Biden
That was heavy,
was
bro.
on the debate, did you know that he never said he was going to choose a woman or a black woman to be president? Right? He never said that because he was so incompetent or his memory is lacking. The moderator asked that question as if she was repeating what he says in in a certain context, and because he could not remember what he said, he just went with it. And I remember watching that debate. I looked at my wife. I said, "Did you see what just happened?" He literally just like let the narrator form that storyline, and he just went right with it. So when I'm telling you, people don't really listen keenly. People don't listen keenly. He
Oh
never
yeah,
said that.
listening and learning are not desirable subjects in
So once he said
fair
it,
education.
once he said it, he had no choice now but to roll with this monster that he just went with, right? So
And
I'm
then he
like,
didn't
okay,
even pick a black woman.
right now he screwed up, right? Now here, I know that his campaign people were like, hey, you kind of screwed this up, but you have to roll with it now. You ain't going, they're not going back now. He chose
What
the
point are you
woman
making?
that called him a racist in front of his damn face.
Well, What
public
point are you making? What point are you making, bro?
My point is, I don't like anyone that use black people's emotions and plight to empower themselves, especially white people at this stage. That's what he did.
Well said.
Well, I would agree
And
with
I'm
you,
not
but
I'm not happy about that.
Well
I
said.
would
I'm not
agree with
happy
you, but
about that.
he actually delivered on selecting a black VP. He got a black Secretary of Defense, black
Is Kamala Harris black? I thought she
KBJ.
identified as Hindustani.
She's conveniently whatever she wants to be. This woman
black
put more
personal
black people in
aide
jail than anybody else.
Calm down, bro. You're getting
But
emotional.
yeah, I am
You're very
actually.
emotional.
Wait, Mitch. He not getting
There we
emotional,
go. There we
Mitch.
go,
Yeah.
Deontay.
Yeah.
There we go, Deontay. I'm trying to talk to this man, Deontay. You say, man, you talk about
Anyway,
the same thing over and over.
Anyway,
talk to my
yeah.
man.
So that's my take on.
I'm just gonna let it be known
Biden.
now that I'm a part of the conversation, and I would not be, checked when
Silence.
I'm speaking.
Right. Yeah, I hear you.
You understand?
Yeah, that's my take on Biden. Outside of that, what do we want to talk about him? Outside of that, my take or how I see him. What do we want to discuss as far as he's concerned?
I mean, there's a lot to discuss. I mean, you point to one piece, which I disagree with, because he openly came out and said he's going to select a black VP. He was asked that. He was goaded.
He was goaded into that.
I don't think so. I mean, that's your interpretation.
It is no. You don't think it was facts. It was right there on the his debate on the debate stage. How could I interpret something when it's factual?
Because in your mind, you think because he asked the question and then he came back afterwards and said he will select a VP, you think he was strong-armed to select a VP.
That's not what he said.
Bro, you're
Deontay, let him speak.
No,
Deontay.
that's not. That's well, no.
Deontay, let him speak.
Everyone understood. Everyone understood what I said except you.
I'm finna say what I heard.
Deontay, let him speak. It's like you always want to talk, man.
So what the brother said was,
Deontay, let him speak.
Mitch, stop talking.
I spoke already.
He can make his own statement. If I
Mitch.
misinterpret you, Deontay, you can correct me.
I spoke already. Hey, I spoke already, and I think these two understood exactly what I said. You crafting it differently. That's fine because you love Biden. I get it.
I just want you to articulate yourself very clearly. What are you trying to say?
I did make it very clear.
Extremely clear.
And I made it. I repeated myself again. And what you're telling me, what's basically what you're telling me is the fact that I stated is because now you're talking about alternative facts. I suppose that's what you're trying to tell me.
I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Can you please?
If I say that you're a man, right?
Bro, don't give me examples. Just tell me what you're trying to say about Joe Biden.
I did say it. I said it over and over.
One more time, because I'm a little slow. Everybody knows Mitch is a little slow. Walk me through this again.
All right. In short, Joe Biden is not my cup of tea. I didn't vote for him.
I know that.
Okay, so there's anything other than that, I already went down the line. He did not say he was going to choose a woman to be president. That was goaded into him because he did not have the facilities to remember what he said. He went along with what the narrator repeat back to him. He even paused, and then he said, "Yeah."
You're trying to say he forgot what it stands for?
No, I'm trying to say he never said that. He never said it. Only when the lady repeated. What's that lady on Fox?
Because he
the lady on Fox News. What's that lady name on Fox News? The one that I don't think she was on there anymore, but the one that
I'm asking you. Because he had, in your mind, he didn't say it before the actual debate. He was asked a question, right? He said yes, and you're trying to say what by bringing that up? What are you trying to say by making that point? Because they're gonna
I'm trying to say that he did not say that he was going to choose a woman for vice president.
Well,
okay,
if I
did. So go ahead.
So what I heard you say, bro, overall, I think your point was because Mitch is good at trying to throw people off their point. Your overall point was
this guy, man, is a cup holder.
Your overall point was, hey, Mitch, you disrespectful.
Just go ahead, man. Say your piece.
Just talk to grown men the way you would talk to grown men in real life.
Bro, as a grown man, you see me speaking to this man, and you trying to speak on behalf of him.
No, Mitch.
All right,
let me ask you. Okay, let me do this.
In a dialogue, and
let me tell you what
let me
he's trying
ask
to
you this.
say.
Let me ask you this.
I'm
Sony,
participating in a dialogue. Hold on, wait a minute, bro.
What did you take from what I said?
Hold on, wait a minute. I'm participating in a dialogue.
This guy just has to be part of the conversation. You can't go 2 minutes without being part of the conversation. Let me try to understand what he's trying to say. You don't need to speak for him, Deontay.
Mitch, bro. I'm not, but listen.
Man.
You don't
all
set.
right.
You don't dictate.
Can I
no
shut that down?
terms. You don't
shut that down. We're going off.
Mitch,
we're going off the track.
Mitch, you don't dictate any terms on live.
What his stance is.
Mitch, you don't dictate terms on live.
I'm not trying to dictate. Deontay.
So every time I go to speak, stop interrupting.
I never met Deontay. I never heard.
Every time I go to speak,
let him
interrupt
speak to his stance.
Every time I go to speak,
stop talking over each other, bro. Stop talking over each other. Come on now. We're going too far with this. Sony, what did you interpret from what I said?
That Mitch, I said not Mitch. I'm not Mitch. I'm sorry. That Joe Biden is mentally inept. He's being fed information. It's not really him calling the shots, and he's not really favorable in your eyes. That's what I took from it. He gave you reasons. You mentioned the debate they had and how he never openly said he was going to pick a black VP until it was said to him, and they ran with it.
Right.
Sum it up.
Exactly.
You also said something else key. And what you said.
What did you hear? What did you hear, bro?
What you said was that you don't like when people try to capitalize on the emotions of black people, especially white people.
So it was understood.
So can I ask you a question without interruption for Deontay? I'm just trying to unpack. I never met you, bro. This guy just have to continuously to speak. So I agree with you. People on the left is not fond of Joe Biden. He's not your cup of tea. He's not our cup of tea. However, Donald Trump is so far away from being a cup of tea for us. We have to go somewhere with our vote. So every issue you may have with Joe Biden, I call him JB, is on steroids. It's on steroids as it relates to Donald Trump. So you worrying about if he was pressured, if he said it after he was asked the question in a debate. All these different.
Whoa! Don't project. You saying I'm worried?
Hold on. I'm getting there.
No. You can't form that narrative, bro. I'm not worried about it.
That's not.
I'm not worried about it.
The bigger point is this.
Mm-hmm.
The issue you have with Joe, you let slide with Donald Trump. He never said to promote anybody.
Did I vote for Donald Trump?
Don't fall for the trap. Don't fall for the trap, man. I know you see it.
Did I vote? Okay, hold on. Did I vote for Donald? Did I vote for Donald Trump?
Man.
And if I didn't vote for Donald Trump, you're gonna
Republican lives, man. Y'all can't let this man stand on the square and answer simple questions.
No. There's no. Dude, you can't project an argument. Then hold on. Don't
you really
don't make a statement. Don't make a statement because I'm not one of those. Don't make a statement, then argue that statement as if I made it. Don't do that. Right? Those are straw man tactics. I don't fall for that. Right? If I do, just because I didn't, I'm not binary. I'm not binary. You understand? So you can't tell me who I'm worried about. You said I'm worried about Joe Biden. That's you projecting. Then you say that Donald Trump. Then what about Donald Trump? I didn't call Donald Trump name in this. I'm talking about Joe Biden. So now you're doing red herring. Now you're doing red herring fallacy.
But did you hear my point?
That boy is properly using red herring. I
think because if you overtalk and Deontay jump in, he interjects and interferes, and Sunni interjects and interferes, that somehow you think you have a good landing.
No, bro.
Hey, Mitch. How good does it make you feel, Mitch, to come up here every day and argue the same thing?
Mitch,
it's impossible to talk. Hold on, bro.
Yeah,
it's impossible to talk about Joe Biden without talking about your alternative. See,
no,
you don't want to talk about Joe Biden.
No, it's not.
What our other option
impossible.
Is.
Oh, okay. Well, if you think it is, then I can't do nothing about it. But you can't project shit like that on people as if they said it. You can't.
Bro, you're not listening to my question. I'm not.
You didn't even make.
What's your question?
You made a statement. You didn't even state it.
You're making a statement.
The light skin dude still talking.
You're making statements. I can't allow you to project things on me, bro, and then slide along with it. That's not gonna work. The minute you do that, I'm gonna interrupt you.
Features. That's it.
What? Well, you
light skin without the light skin features,
man. Oh God. Anyway, Mitch, what? Go on, man. Let me hear what you're gonna say. Go
No,
ahead.
man, go ahead and keep talking. Every time I try to speak to you, you talk over me, and then you ask me to speak again.
No, what I'm
trying
asking
to
you to do is don't
There you
project.
go. All right.
But you know what I'm seeing here, right? I'm seeing that you want to frame the narrative and you want to make it, you want to move it along so far that I really forget what you said
No,
initially. And those
what are
who
you
are
trying to
listening,
do? What are you trying to
see,
do?
now
You're
you're
trying
doing
to
the
stay
same
away.
thing.
What are you
Now you're
trying to
doing the
do is
same
trying to
thing.
stay. What are you trying to do is trying to stay away from framing. You're trying to stay away from me posing a question to you that you know you
No,
really can answer.
no,
This is why you
no,
want to say, hold on,
no.
bro, can I speak? Bro, you can't. How many times you interrupt, man? You got Deontay and you got Sunni chirping for you, and then you chirping.
All right, tell me what you want. Tell me what I want to do. Tell me what I want to do. You know what I want to do. Tell me. Go ahead.
I didn't say anything to, bro. I say you have for you to make that argument about Joe Biden, you have to talk about what your alternative is. Why is it that you don't want to talk about that?
So that's your question, right?
That's my question. You said I don't want to talk about Trump. I'm talking about Joe Biden.
Now you just asked me why
what
I
he
don't
wants
want
to do.
No, hold on, man. Let me answer him. Now you just asked me that why I don't.
Answer.
Now you just asked me why I don't want to talk about Trump, right?
Correct.
Now, did I tell you that I do not want to talk about Trump?
Yeah, that's the whole point I'm making, bro.
But I'm asking you, did I tell you that? Because you just said I don't want to talk about Trump. Now, did I tell you I do not want to talk about Trump? No,
why doesn't he
I did not tell you that.
Biden?
Which one is it, man? Do you want to have a conversation, or you want to talk about? You just.
I was talking about I was talking about Joe Biden.
You don't want to talk about what other options we have to vote. If we don't like Joe Biden exploiting black people, my question to you, hold up, bro. If you don't like Joe Biden exploiting black people, then what's your next logical step or step to take? You have to look at where else you can take your vote. Why is it that you don't want to expand your conversation and have a holistic conversation where people vote?
I'm speaking about Joe Biden and my feelings about Joe Biden, right?
I'm down. You're emotional, man. You gotta let this go, man.
That's what my initial with the other my man that came off.
Is he out for anybody else, or is it just me?
He's spinning.
Yeah, okay. I'm spinning.
Hopefully he'll come back.
Yeah, he's spinning. He don't want to talk about everything involved with voting. He wants to talk about JB.
What's wrong with talking about JB? Why you got a problem with that?
But as soon as you told me the other day you don't want to talk about Republicans or Democrats whatsoever. Now
this is a conversation that he's having. This is not about me. So how come you won't have that conversation with him?
I don't mind because it's a moot conversation. How can you have a conversation about if you don't like Joe Biden and what he stands for? Where else? What's the next step for a person to take? Well, you got to look at the next Democratic nominee, but Joe Biden was the general nominee, presidential nominee. Your only alternative is to go Republican. So we have to talk about what that looks like, and then we have to compare it, and then people have to make an informed decision. He don't want to talk about that. That's because Republicans have brainwashed y'all to not vote Republican but hate Democratic.
What?
Yeah, it's the shit like that just be throwing me off so much.
What?
It's the shit like that. I mean,
this guy didn't even vote.
To hear it come out of you, for you to suggest that somebody is under some type of brainwashing or psychosis is laughable. I mean, that's a laugh, like that's a joke. You damn near should go stand up with that one. You know what I'm saying? You for real.
Deontay, you didn't even vote.
That has no relativity.
What are you talking about?
That has no relativity to the discussion.
It does. I mean,
it has no relativity to the
you haven't voted.
It has no
So you shouldn't even be talking about voting or elections or politics.
Mitch, that's a foolish statement.
It's not foolish.
That's a foolish statement. So you're suggesting that people should not.
If you're speaking on something, you don't really engage in voting.
No, you're not a fool if you speak. You're a fool if you speak on something you don't know about.
You don't know about it.
I don't know what happened.
You can know about voting.
You have no clue about the current state about politics.
I have.
You don't know anything about legislation.
I am.
You don't know anything about bill making, right?
Mitch, how are you assuming what I know? Mitch, how are you assuming
what the hell is going on?
Mitch, how are you assuming what I know and don't know? Mitch, I think the audience, I think every audience that's ever listened to both of us speak
you only talk about the gold standard in the
Mitch,
1900s.
I rarely talk about that, but I think that the majority of people that listen to us talk would agree that I'm far more intelligent than you. I'm far more knowledgeable than you, well versed in a variety of
you only know
far more versed than you in a variety of topics.
What you read.
I'm far more versed than you in a
anything
variety
about the current
of
state of
topics.
politics.
I actually make a positive effect in the community.
You don't know anything about the current state of politics, Deontay.
All right,
Mitch,
so the guy's
Mitch, I'm extremely versed with the current state of politics.
Okay, let's not go. Let's not do this back and forth.
Yeah, yeah, pretty interesting.
Go ahead and finish your whatever you were saying, and because this is a live where people are watching. Can we please be productive? We don't have to agree.
Yeah,
please
yeah, definitely. I agree. I mean, yeah.
For the sake of
I understand what he's is trying to get at. That he's saying that. I mean, I understand why he's saying it that way, but I don't really dig binary thought process like that. But that's fine if he has that. He does have at least a modicum amount of point in that aspect. It can't be denied, right? When you talk about politics, he feels that you have to talk about Trump as well when you talk about Joe Biden. It depends on how far into that you're going.
I didn't say that. I think you're simplifying what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm giving you a practical response. If you tell me McDonald's is bad, don't ever eat McDonald's, you got to go somewhere and eat. So if you're telling me Joe Biden is bad, Joe Biden is bad, Joe Biden is bad, you can't stand Joe Biden. I'm asking you, what's the alternative? You can't carry the conversation forward because you know it's damaging to even bring up Donald Trump. You know his record is pretty bad. I could walk you through it.
So by saying that, you're assuming that I'm in favor of Donald Trump, right?
No, I don't know what you're assuming. I just know you don't want to talk
the way
about
you just
Trump.
the way you just framed your banter a while ago, you just assume that. You tacitly assume that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not binary. I don't like Donald Trump. If I had let me put it clear, because I think this is probably what you're trying to get at. Out of Donald Trump,
I don't vest my trust
out of Donald Trump or Joe Biden, who would I rather vote for? That's probably what you're trying to get at. Which one of these two would I vote for?
Who would you vote for?
That's exactly what he wants.
Yeah, that's basically what that's what I basically gathered. Brother, if I have to vote between Donald Trump,
Mitch? Stop
if I
whining,
have to vote, if I have no other option but to vote for Donald Trump or Joe Biden, I'm voting for Joe Biden. Does that answer your question?
That answers my question, which I would assume differently about you, but
because you're making assumptions, bro. You're making assumptions and on binary statements.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Trump is a nightmare. Trump is a nightmare.
I'm gonna try to be quick because Deontay is gonna interrupt. I just want to be quick. So if it's not, because it sounds like you have another assumption or sound like you have another alternative in mind. What outside of Joe Biden, Trump, what are you suggesting? Where are you going with your vote?
I'm not suggesting anything, because here's the thing. I used to be a diehard Democrat, right? And no matter what, that's where I'm going. I'm going with it. After a while, I start seeing that these two pretty much are just the same entity. They're just using a social disconnect to their advantage. I decide I don't want to be a part of that anymore, right? Because I feel like if I continue playing their game, they're just going to continue saying that we're idiots. So
what does that
it
mean?
Means they give you it means they give you a worst case scenario. Hey, if you don't vote for Joe Biden, then who are you going to vote for? This idiot over here? Well, a lot of people, some people just going to come to a conclusion like, I'm not voting for both of y'all. I don't care what happens. I'm not voting for any of you. And that's just it. Some people just fall on that because.
Are you saying the reason why I keep making assumptions because you're not really explicit about what you're saying? Are you saying that you don't?
I'm very explicit. I'm not voting for Biden or the Democrats, and I'm not voting for the Republicans. I'm no longer playing their games.
Okay. Are you saying you voted independent?
Yep.
Okay, see what I'm saying? You assume you have something you're trying to say. You're just not saying it fully.
No, I'm
So
saying what I need to say. I don't need to tell you who I'm voting for. I'm telling you who I'm not voting
You're
for.
gonna vote independent. Hold up, bro.
Yeah.
So who are you gonna vote for independent?
It's immaterial. That doesn't matter.
Why is it immaterial? I'm asking
because it doesn't matter. I'm not voting for the Democrats, and I'm not voting for the Republicans. So that means I'm going to vote independent.
I get
so
it.
if their ideas are if they're it doesn't matter who, as long as it's an independent.
This guy. So it doesn't matter who it is. You're just gonna vote.
As long as it's a independent, and whatever they're talking about,
you don't care,
and whatever
Kanye West,
and when listen. Whatever as long as it's independence and whatever they're talking about is sensible, that's what I'm voting for.
Now,
you see what I'm saying? I'm not going to be part of this game anymore.
Bro, you're very difficult to speak to. You know what I'm saying? You're not just say what you're trying to say.
No, I'm saying I'm saying what I want to say. You want me to say what you want you to say.
Let's go back to the Democrats and Republicans.
Oh God!
Now you don't
have
to vote for Trump. You don't have to vote for Trump. You can vote for Mike Pence. I didn't. You can vote for DeSantis. You can vote for what's the only
Republicans I would think of voting for is that what's that cat? I think his name starts with a K. I stopped watching politics for a while now, so I don't even keep up with this shit. He was pretty decent. He was like moderate. So that's the only guy on that side. Because I think the Republican Party is just a straight up racist party. So I'm not keen to. I don't care what they say. That party is racist. It's a fact.
Damn. Okay.
It's a fact. Do you disagree?
I mean, you're stronger with your language than I'm typically are. But yeah, I like the language.
I'm not hiding that. They're straight off racist.
Damn.
The only difference. The only difference between the Republican and the Democrats is the Democrats are more cunning with their racism, and the Republicans are straight in your face with it. There's no ambiguity. They're not hiding it, which is kind of odd that they operate on that level, but that's what they're doing. So yeah, screw Donald Trump, screw them damn Republicans. I don't want to hear nothing from them. They have nothing solid to say.
So let me ask you this: what's your top issues when you're looking at a person to vote for it? So you don't know who's going to run the
racial equality and racial and social justice equality. That's my top. Black empowerment. I need tangibles, and I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it from the Republicans. I know that for damn sure. So to your point, you're more likely to get a little piece from the goddamn Democrats. I call them the Democrats.
Okay.
So,
No, I mean, I agree. I agree.
Logically,
the way I describe it.
Go on.
The way I describe it is, Democrats not going to knock it out the park. You call it a piece. I would say they would get us on first base or second base, right? Republicans won't even show up to the game part.
True.
Right? They would put their foot on the pedal and drive right past the party to see a whole bunch of black folks, right? But at least Democrats would at least stop the bus. They would get off the bus. They would take a bat, and they would get you on first or second base. They're not going to knock it out the park. They're not going to get you everything. They're going to do some stuff for everybody because it is a party of people.
They dangle the carrot.
A lot of groups within the Democratic Party.
Yeah, they dangle the carrot just enough for you to keep walking towards it, but you will never reach it. And if they see that they're losing the grip, now they have the consensus to do whatever they need to do to bring you back into the fold. It's a big social deception. Them bastards are cunning with it. They're very cunning.
So do you support reparations?
I want equality. Just give us an equal plane, right?
I'm gonna holler at y'all later. This that robotic conversation I was talking about.
Yeah, good night, Deontay.
Yeah.
Hey, don't go nowhere, man. What are you doing?
You talking to a robot, bro.
Okay, what's your take? Let me hear your take, because you seem like you have a different spin on it.
No, I'm asking you. Do you support reparations?
My take has no relativity right now. I mean, it's just that
what he's saying is we're having a conversation on repeat. He's asking you the same questions he asked everyone else, and the conversation becomes unproductive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
script. Like, I mean, he comes up here with the same questions every
Same
time,
question.
every person that he talks to. I mean, I would imagine
Maybe,
these are
well,
written
maybe
down.
he's doing research.
Or
Yeah,
maybe,
he works
maybe
for the
I
DNC
haven't met
for
this
sure.
guy, or maybe I
Yeah.
am doing research. I'm trying to see how many Republicans like
Didn't
Deontay and Sunni that don't support
Deontay,
reparations.
didn't you talk about reparation earlier?
It's hilarious to me that, I mean, this brother wants to force me into a box of a Republican.
Deontay talked about it, but he said I'm on repeat.
Man,
No, because
Well, I tell you.
you're asking about it. That's why I'm saying you're asking about it. So I'm like, wait a minute. I think we discussed it earlier. I
Only if I
slightly
discuss
remember.
it, they get salty about it when I discuss it because they know I'm gonna hold them accountable. That's why he's about to. That's why he's about
Listen,
to
man.
rip and run.
You know, I like I kind of what I don't mind the direct question, right? The direct questions I don't mind because people project too much, and I don't like the projection and assumption and the binary statement. So if just don't say, oh, because I didn't vote Democrat, that means I like Republicans.
So let's talk about the gold standard. That's what Deontay want to talk about, or selling life insurance or something like that. You don't want to talk about reparations.
He's gone. But
he's gone.
let me
All right,
now.
cool.
Let me ask you. What does reparation look like? You know, in your opinion, what's that look like?
Well, my first question to you is: do you support it?
When you say support, you're saying do you think they should?
It's simple,
I
bro.
think they
Do you
should.
support reparations?
No, it's not simple because people have different ways of stating it, and I have to make sure I get what that's what you're getting at. How I see they talk about reparation is they're getting some type of monetary payment for the atrocities that happens previously. Is that what you're talking about?
That's how everybody got reparations. What are you talking about?
Say again.
That every group in this country received reparations that way. They got cash or land as it relates to the members.
So yeah, and that's
The
some people
Japanese
have
got cash. The Jews
some
got
people have a
cash.
different
The
way,
Italians got cash.
or land or
land.
something tangible. So if that was to if it's possible, because I don't think it's going to happen, then why not? Why wouldn't I support that?
Okay, so which party do you think will get you closer to reparations? Who do you think is speaking closer to that issue than the two parties?
I don't think any of them going to give us any reparation.
Really?
None of them. Nope.
Have you followed Governor Newsom out in California? Just gave back $20 million of land.
Brother, these cats be talking. Oh, you talking about for the family that owned that land before?
Yes.
Yeah. I heard about that.
Was that a trick?
So you think that's going to be on a global scale? I mean, a national scale. You think that's going to be possible? Well, it's possible, but you think that's going to happen?
If in a perfect scenario, if I had one wish and I can click my boots and make one wish, and we can and I can wish Republicans go away, yes, I think we can get reparations across this country.
You and me both. I would. If I could snap my fingers and then gone, then yeah, I can't argue with that. But the way I see it, I think both.
Are you saying Republicans are in the way of reparations?
Of course.
Wow.
What are you talking about?
They're not gonna like you, man.
I don't give a damn, bro. If you ask me a direct question, I'm gonna answer it. But as long as I have the confines of what you're talking about, they're not going to allow they're not going to allow that. We already know that. What evidence do we have that they will?
Hold up, bro. You're about to piss Sunni off. Let her jump in here.
I'm about to kick you off because you're gonna piss me off. How can you say Republicans are blocking reparations when Democrats have been studying how to get reparations for over 3 decades now? Who's really in the way of anything when all they're doing is studying it?
Sunni, they're not trying. Democrats are not trying to give us repatriation.
I know that, but
they're not doing that.
That's the lens he's coming from. He's solely focused on Republicans, and like you, I don't like either party.
Yeah, they're holding that carrot in front of us because that's what we're lasering on, and they just keep dragging it along. Hey, just vote for us. We're gonna keep working on it. Just vote for it. We're gonna keep working on it. Well, the Republicans are like, fuck you. We're not giving you all that. We got something else to worry about.
Yeah, I can respect that. I can respect.
So now we're in a conundrum.
Rock with that.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, but like you said, if I could get rid of
with you, bro. They will rock with you when they think that you're bashing both parties. But if you're just bashing
Donald
Trump or the Republicans by yourself, they're not going to rock with you. So
hey
my
man, I'm
question
sorry,
No,
I'm sorry, but I'm gonna tell you what I think, and
Is
if
bro,
if it doesn't,
like
if it
it's
doesn't,
almost
if it
like bro
doesn't
trying to recruit
jive,
you. Like,
yeah, if it doesn't jive, then yeah, we just have a disagreement
my,
on that. But I'm
my
not
question to
gonna,
you is
you know what I mean?
is this:
it's
have you
like bro
seen
trying to
Republicans
recruit you.
give back land at all to anybody that's black? Like you have
Bruh.
the case in Newsom, you have Evanston, Illinois, you have Asheville, North Carolina, right?
So
You have
I'm gonna be honest.
Hey
Oklahoma
Mitch,
right
I got
now.
a
They're trying to
question.
give land, and the Republican mayor is blocking it.
Mitch,
I'm about
Where's
to
the
end this
effort?
conversation. I'm about to end this. So ask your question, D.
So I mean, my question for Mitch is this, right? Because I know Mitch
I don't want to
interacts.
She might have hang up. Don't worry
Popeye chicken sandwich.
What happened?
Somebody said, forget the carrots, they're dangling Popeye's chicken sandwich at this point. Jesus, that's that's wrong, bro.
So Mitch, what are your thoughts on black men all throughout America, which there's an abundance of them, that are totally disconnected from the system of politics, meaning not that they're unaware or not familiar with how it's functioning, but they're disinterested in participating in it. I'm talking about your Pan-African community. I'm talking about your Israelite community. I'm talking about your Nation of Islam community. I'm talking about your general everyday niggas in the hood that couldn't care less about none of the shit you're talking about because they perceive both of these parties as two wings of the same bird. What is your outlook on those black people?
Well, we're assuming that
I'm not assuming anything.
Because I'm about to answer you the question. Because my question to you is, how do you measure that? How many people?
That's just an empirical. That's just an empirical observation based on my upbringing and various different.
So this is your personal opinion.
This is a personal opinion based on observation.
So we're speaking to something that is really based on your small little narrow view.
No, it's not a small little narrow view. It's something that's tangible. It's something that's tangibly. It is something that's tangibly visible. I don't need to do that. I can provide empirical.
My opinion is
Mitch, stop cutting me off when I'm Mitch. Stop cutting me off when I'm talking, or I'm gonna just keep talking with you simultaneously.
Yeah, but I'm answering your question.
I didn't even finish my question. You interrupted.
You asked me the question.
Mitch, stop talking when I'm talking. Mitch, stop talking when I'm talking.
It's opinion based.
Mitch, you done?
So I'm asking you, give me a question that's based on evidence or supporting data, not your small worldview.
It's not a small worldview, Mitch. It's it's something that's tangibly observant, easily observed.
Give me the tangibles.
So if you go to every inner city community in America, the majority of people in that community are uninformed about the system of politics, how it works, nor are they interested in it. That is a fact.
Based on what? How is that a factual? How is that factual? Based on what?
What do you mean?
Republicans and yourself are not in these black communities. You were just talking about people that work at McDonald's.
What do you mean?
You was bashing people that work at McDonald's.
Hey, Mitch, you got to be a real clown, bro, to get on live every day and do this goofy shit. But it's okay. That's
what you're trying to tell me. That's
why you don't show who your real profile is. You
probably let me jump in. Let me jump in.
Hold on, wait.
Yeah, you're trying to tell me because your personal opinion is going to be factual.
Mitch.
You
probably don't work at the bank. Mitch, you probably don't work at the bank and you don't show who you really are in real life because what you really do is different than what you pretend to do. Bro, you're not making any positive impact in your community. If you were a banker, you would actually be putting on, it would be apparent, it would be visible, right? In a day and age where social media is one of the primary mediums of business, you would think that you would be educating people about banking and how to get access to funding. You come online every day and do the same thing. You're a puppet of the Democratic Party, and the majority of black people I know do not rock with people like you. They do not resonate with people like you. They do not relate to people like you. They view you as a bougie,
mixed up Republican sellouts like yourself. Don't do any work.
I've never voted for the Republican Party. What are you talking about?
Yes, you are. You're gonna say you don't. That's what you.
I've never voted for the Republican Party. I'm not a registered Republican.
I need to ask you a question.
You do not see Republicans
myself.
Let me ask you both. Let me ask you both a question, please.
I have been consistent since you met me.
He wants to talk
that I'm anti-establishment. That I'm against both parties. That I view them as the same.
You have no clue about the state of politics.
Mitch, let me ask you both a question. Let me ask you both a pose a
you're a
question.
literal idiot? Do you know
With
you are
no, don't do that. Come
significantly?
on.
No,
Come
no,
He's
on,
no,
man.
no,
getting
no.
emotional. He's getting
I'm not
emotional.
Don't
getting
do
Let
that.
him go.
emotional.
He's
I'm
getting
just being
emotional. He's
honest.
light skinned. That's that
I'm
All
light
right.
just
skin
being
energy.
honest.
Let him go.
Mitch, Mitch,
Okay.
you're
Let me
really
ask you both a question
Mitch, you
in
are
terms of
really
the
idiotic and ignorant.
repatriation, right?
What's your question, bro?
Okay, let's say that for some reason they say, okay, we're going to give repatriation to out for past atrocities. Do you think that expertly is a campaign manager, is like tip top, uses the atmosphere and the black plight to his empowerment. That's exactly what it did.
So can I ask you this question?
I have a problem against that, but I know it's politics, so hey, kudos to him. Good job.
Can I ask you this question?
I'm a little confused at that.
I'm
gonna be honest.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Can we stop real quick? Because you said you don't like when politicians use the black plight for political gain, but you just big up a candidate using the black plight. Why would? How do you not like?
Hear what I just said. Listen to what I said. Listen to what I said. Listen to what I said.
That was
You keep bashing Republicans.
Yeah, listen to what I said. He used the black plight to his political gain.
No, we just call out all races equally.
Right? He used the black plight for his political gain. And with that was his mission, that was his intent.
Okay, so it worked. Just so we can fully get the, you know what I'm saying? Because I want Mitch to do it as well, right? Because Mitch, I've never really heard Mitch answer the question. I've heard Mitch run around the question. But when you say that Donald Trump was essentially the staple, right? The poster boy of
the lighthouse.
The lighthouse of white supremacy. Right? I'm interested as to what characterization you apply to Biden, because you just acknowledged that I'm assuming when you say the lighthouse, right? Light is shining bright. It's obvious. It's apparent. It's noticeable. So I take that to mean that you're saying Trump was noticeably, obviously, apparently a white supremacist.
Yes.
But Biden, on the contrary, it sounds like you're also saying it sounds like you're also saying he's a white supremacist, just disguising himself not as a white supremacist.
Right.
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so now what I need
You see how hyped they get. If you keep talking about Trump, they're gonna jump on you like a trampoline over
there. That's fine. I'm just telling you my opinion, so you can't really do nothing about that.
This brother right here.
I'm trying to, because when you ask a question, I'm trying to answer as honestly as possible.
Both parties are bad. To stay on this live, you have to say both parties are bad.
That's not true. Stop mischaracterizing this live. Stop doing that.
I'm not gonna make no assumptions.
You just have to
I'm gonna listen to the question they ask, and I'm gonna try to answer it.
Nobody here fucks with Donald Trump, bro. I don't fuck with Donald Trump. I've been vocal about that. That is not a secret.
I've never fucked with Donald Trump.
Stop capping.
There's no pictures.
You don't do that. You're binary. You're kind of putting binary.
So
Biden is
there's absolutely no information
I think he did.
out there
that
can imply that I've ever been
ask you this question?
You don't vote for me. Hold on. Yes, some guy. He said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That really enraged the hell out of me. When I heard that, I was so pissed off.
Digga, can I ask you this question?
Yeah, go on.
How do you know since Donald Trump is so clear with his racism, and Joe Biden is covert with it, and you don't like people exploiting the black community for their personal gain? How do you know
Joe Biden is not covert with it?
How do you know?
He tried to be. You didn't hear him say that. If you're not black, you can't vote. You're not voting for him.
We are having a conversation with two black men who are acknowledging racism but are choosing to vote for racist fucking people. That is the most absurd thing I have ever heard. You are choosing. Maybe you didn't choose to vote, but this guy who gets here bitching and moaning about white supremacy votes for white supremacists.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, man. Once you, that's what I'm trying to say all along. Once you have information, and once something comes to your purview, and once you see that something is not jiving, you ever have the decision to extricate yourself from that mix, or you continue to be a part of it. Now, I can see what he's saying. Mitch is kind of like. Mitch is kind of going on Mitch is kind of going on the lesser of two evils. I see that. It's like going that direction. 4-inch blade in your back. You feel bad.
Just let him finish, Mitch.
You know what I mean?
That's sweet, bro. Malcolm X,
just let him finish, bro.
Rolling in his grave, listening to two black men argue over the lesser of two evils.
They get riled up.
Arguing the lesser of two evils. I already know who it is.
They get riled up when you talk about Trump.
Shut up or get off.
Well, you keep saying two black men. I'm not arguing over that at all. I already know who I don't like, and I don't like both of them. I say that off the bat. I ain't voting for none of them.
They don't like that you gave Joe Biden a C and a Trump a
No, I would never give Joe Biden a C. He's a fucking racist.
Yeah,
what
I give him a I give him a C. I give him a C because he
notice
tricked us.
if you notice, I didn't provide a grade, right, for either
president. Yeah, he asked me what I would give him.
And the reason why I didn't provide a grade is because to me, that is the conversation of fans. That's like a fan question, especially because no criteria was provided. Like Mitch didn't lay out the context, the grading scale, and
what a grading scale. For this guy.
Why is Trump even brought up? Biden isn't.
Hey, Mitch, give
Nobody
me
likes to talk about Trump, huh?
Mitch or Bigger, give me an example of Trump. Give me an example of Trump as extreme as Biden that is clearly white supremacist.
Give you an example of
Trump saying or doing something that appears as racist as Biden's behavior.
Central Park 5, go ahead, say it.
Yeah, I was about to hit that, but
that's the only one you got, right?
No, because he didn't want no black. He didn't want no black people. He didn't want no black people working in the front office of his building or in his building. I mean, this dude.
I think both of them.
What's his name?
We know both of them, bro.
What is that dude?
Question, though.
No. I was gonna say. So to be clear, right? I have an example. I have an example of the question that I just asked you, right? Because I have an answer to the question that I asked always, right? Because that would be like I have to have an example of it. No,
what party was Paul Ryan?
Mitch is
Republican. He was a Republican.
That I'm far more intelligent.
Paul Ryan himself said, "What Donald Trump did is the epitome. What Donald Trump did was the epitome of racism."
What did he do?
Said it himself.
Hold on.
When they asked him about what he said if Donald Trump is considered a racist, and then he gives an example of what he said, which is he said that if you're a Latino or a Mexican, you're not gonna be able to do your job right as a judge. That's what that motherfucker said. When they put that to Paul Ryan said that is the very definition of racism.
So look, riled up over Trump. Keep bashing Trump. You get Deontay riled up.
Mitch sounds retarded because I'm agreeing with you right now. But anyway, so not only do I agree with you, but the answer that I was going to provide, right, was a particular speech that I heard Trump say, right? I caught it on YouTube. And he says, our ancestors tamed the continent, and we are not going to apologize for America. He openly said that. And me being versed in the histories that I am, he used the word tamed, right? Our ancestors tamed a continent. And he also, in the same speech, talked about Andrew Jackson. So what he was alluding to was the massacre, the reclassification, the denationalization of indigenous people in the Americas, as well as Africans brought to the Americas, right? And and so Trump clearly, just even using rhetoric like that, is letting you know, for those that have ears to listen, where he stands. Trump is a proud white man, period. He is a proud white man, and there's nothing wrong with a white man being a proud white man. I think black men get offended at white men being proud of their own heritage. I'm a proud black, so-called black man, and I can look at the heritage of white people and say, I don't like what they did to me historically. They have very racist and bigoted behaviors historically and currently. But that doesn't mean that I don't expect them to have pride in being them. They're them. Right? You just alluded to earlier, Bigger, right? How genius whoever constructed this social engineering program is, and you got to give them their credit, right? So it's the same thing.
That's why I soon got confused when I said something earlier. She thought I was for him. I was just admiring that tactic that worked.
So let me land.
That's all I'm doing. Yeah.
So let me land the plane here. Me personally, right? And I didn't vote for either president.
Trump and not the current president.
Me personally, I didn't vote for either president. I didn't want to vote for either president because I didn't feel like either president. One, I have a completely different perspective of politics, and I happen to think that my vote at a national level has very little impact. On a local and state level, more impact. But that's another conversation for another day. My point is this:
another conversation.
Is that Biden has openly, right, they've both been openly racist, but Trump is like Trump doesn't give me I don't like black people vibes. Trump gives me I'm for my white people vibes first. No. The same thing Abraham Lincoln said. He said something along the lines of, if the black man and the white man cannot, and I can't quote him exactly. I don't know what he said, but he said that he would prefer the white man be on top. Trump is the same way. Biden is the same way. The difference is that Biden is going to placate to you like that's what he doesn't want. He wants to act like he wants equality and like he's the wolf in sheep clothes, but he's just as racist. Anybody that
let me put it to you like this, right? Let me put it to you like this, right? At the end of the day, while we're playing you this, you that, and rah rah rah, no economic downturn affect these guys that's in power. Not the gas, not the economy, not the pay, none of that affect them, right? And they play on us in order to maintain their status quo.
Fact.
That's basically what all they're doing.
That's what politics is.
It's all about. You know what I mean? So
it's a game to keep the citizenry engaged.
Didn't Trump give black colleges more money? Here we go. Oh boy. See, didn't Trump give black colleges more money? Blah 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 blah. I mean,
what's the problem with acknowledging that he did something that no other president?
The problem I have is now, are we going to weigh who's done what and what didn't, and just disregard their main focus? Is that what we're doing? Are we giving kudos to some of the things they did?
If you have no problem bigging up Joe Biden, this black man here has no problem voting for Joe Biden, and he said, wait, let me finish. And he said very disgusting and disrespectful things about blacks. But to add insult to injury, he ain't done a motherfucking thing for blacks. I would rather vote for someone. Bro, you can think whatever you want to think about me. They're entitled to that thought. In America, we have the freedom to think, say whatever we want. If you're going to do something for my community, why the fuck would I not vote for you? That's stupid. I'm not going to vote for a party that I know is not going to do anything. You alluded to it several times. Democrats didn't put the carrot in front of you. So a candidate that's going to give back and that's talking about a platinum plan, although I don't agree with the whole thing in full, what smart person wouldn't take that person up on an offer?
I'm like, I would not take them up on that offer because I don't believe them.
Exactly. I have no expectations.
They're treacherous.
But that's y'all too. But I'm talking about the mentality of voters who are looking at it.
Yeah. Based on that, because promises are comfort to a fool, they say. And if you don't know the history of the people that making these promises, you're just going to go off what they promise, which is okay because you don't know no better.
Bigger, you don't have to talk about promises. You can actually talk about their policies and what they passed. I see people talk about Trump $80 million to HBCU. Joe Biden actually gave $3.7 billion. So if you like the $80 million,
simple question,
$3.7 billion.
Simple question.
So why? That's not a promise. That is actual. Well, that's a
none of that money is going to those schools. But you got to go off.
Get into details. It's the same. It's the same as the $80 million. Details. They all got
a simple question.
So why you can't judge the president based on what he delivered?
Mitch, I got a simple question.
Beyonce, I'm asking a bigger question. I set back perfectly. I'm trying to be respectful.
I think that if you're going to judge someone, is based on what they delivered and their previous activities leading up to that point. I mean, how else are they going to do
so
it?
now that you know that Joe Biden gave $3.7 billion under his administration, Donald Trump gave $80 million under his administration. Why would you think that's a bigger promise delivered?
Why would I think what?
Why would you think that's a bigger promise delivered? Why would you think that's more meaningful?
Thank you.
Because
you got 3.7 million, you got
whether you
80
like him or
million.
not.
Okay, so I kind of see what you're saying, but I guess if you're looking at the short-term gains and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you get pacified by it, then yeah, you would like, okay,
I mean,
at least I got this and I get less.
3.7 billion. I mean,
Well, I'm
that's
looking,
meaningful money.
but that's the thing is, like right now, I could say that, you know, if I'm gonna be selfless or individual, I would, you know, vote for whoever makes me the most money or makes me my individual status great, right? Despite whether they say despite whether they're racist or not, right? If I
Neither
was an
party does
individual,
that.
if I was an individual, I would do that.
Neither party does
But
that.
if I want everyone to have
you gaslighting,
focus.
bro.
Say again?
Stop
Mitch,
gaslighting.
define gaslighting, Mitch.
I'm asking a specific question. 3.7 billion versus $80 million. That should be easy. No. I mean, why is that so hard?
So your trust is based on what little gains it's gotten, right?
Oh man,
that's what you just pretty much put in front of me.
I'm gonna answer his question because that's what. So the answer that he's looking for is that 3.7 billion is greater than 80 million. Simple.
So the little gain you got is enough to pacify you.
So essentially, what he's saying is that it's not a promise because we can look at an action that Joe Biden has signed off on, which appears to be more favorable than whatever Donald Trump was offering. Nevertheless, to Suni's point, I don't think Mitch is really interested in how the funds are allocated, distributed, whether they will be used rightfully. I don't think Mitch cares about the fact that you really can't look at any piece of legislation since the so-called civil rights bills that have been positive or impactful in an uplifting way for the Black community. From neither point.
Again, it depends on what your main focus on in politics. If your main focus on politics is economics,
any question about how the money is divvied up. As soon as Joe Biden passed a policy, y'all want to micromanage every line in the policy.
I'm not micromanaging anything.
Yes, you do.
I'm just looking at the statistics.
I'm just looking at the opportunity zone.
Hey, Mitch,
never came on an opportunity zone. I don't know why a person like you don't vote.
Mitch,
this is what he want to do.
He just want to keep talking, so he can't. So that way,
why are y'all so sensitive about Donald Trump?
He wants to drown out the wind. He wants to drown out the wind. All three of us
I don't get it.
at the same time is not going to work. So
I just don't get it.
So watch this.
3.7 billion and $80 million. Those are facts. Those are figures, right?
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
So if they give that much and take away 99% of it, how does that look?
Listen, bro, bigger. Hold on, bro. Yeah. Hold on, bro. Listen, bro. Everybody got to take turns talking.
You've been talking, Deontay.
Everybody got to take turns talking. You've been talking the whole time.
No, I haven't. I actually sat back.
You just was talking while I was talking simultaneously.
No,
anyway,
I let you speak.
Anyway, look, I'm gonna speak.
You never make a point. You don't know the state of current politics, and you just keep talking.
Mitch, you just keep talking out your asshole. That's okay.
That's way better than Biden.
You don't know what politics. We can walk through.
Mitch, you have never seen you go live and reference a policy, read through it, be able to actually show me and highlight.
When the last policy you read through, Deontay?
What's the last policy you read?
Now you're gonna just repeat the question back to me.
What's the last policy you read? House resolution what? What number?
You tell me, Deontay, which one you read?
What's the last?
I just had to educate Suni and the other crew on the health bill the other day.
So how do you guys feel about when Trump came into office, right? When Trump came into office and he labeled the Mexicans this, that, and such. How did that sit with you?
So what? They aren't sending their best, bro. Like, so what?
No,
There's
I'm
David,
asking how
you're not going to
now
win
when
these
Joe
guys by
Biden
bashing Trump.
when
Let me
Joe
do that.
Biden
Let me
said
bash
that
Trump so you
he
can stay in
doesn't
good
want
faith.
his offsprings in the same educational platform as black
he
people.
wasn't talking about bad. He was not talking about criminals. He was talking about blacks as a whole. There's a difference. There's a difference.
Who?
What do you mean who?
Who you
You
talking?
mentioned
Who
Joe
you talking
Biden.
about?
You mentioned
Right.
Joe Biden. Not okay. He doesn't want his
So
offspring
he
around black.
doesn't want black criminals or black people.
I said he did not specify. He just
Mm-hmm.
referenced the racial jungle. That's not a criminal element. That's you talking about someone that looks different. And back then, blacks were referenced as monkeys and apes and everything else. That's not even in the same context.
Well, I don't understand what you mean because he made a speech on it. So what was he referring to?
He said they're not sending their best. That is very clear.
No, I'm talking about Joe Biden.
What do you mean? If someone says a racial jungle that they're not interested in their kids being in, what do you assume? Do you assume? Well, he's talking about criminals. So do you assume he's just talking about blacks as a whole?
Yes, that's what I assumed.
Okay, so I'm comparing what you just brought up as an example of, well, why didn't you get mad at Trump? Because Trump was talking about a specific group of people.
I didn't say whether you should be mad at Trump. Why do you guys do that? I'm asking you, what do you think about what he said?
Compared. I think they are two different things. I don't think that they correlate or they're anywhere near the same. And I don't even like.
That's all I asked. It's just a question. It was just a question. It was just a question to see what you think about the two. That's all. I didn't say anything on what you said. I just asked the question. That's all. So what about you, Mitch? What do you think about those two statements?
The racial jungle statement was definitely racial or racist, and definitely not good statements by Joe Biden.
Okay. What about the statement that Trump said about Mexicans and stuff when he targeted them like that? What was his intent?
Equally racist.
Okay. What about you, Devontae?
It's Deontay.
I'm sorry, Deontay. Is he here?
What happened? My bad. My phone cut out for a minute.
Oh shit!
That's crazy, bro.
No, I was
just
listening.
move on.
The last thing that I heard was you asked Mitch, what did he feel about the
Joe
statement?
Biden call us roaches. Jesus.
I do find it, you know what I'm saying, amusing and extremely obvious that Mitch is extremely passive and just kind of submissive to Joe Biden's racist rhetoric, but he's inflamed and very, you know what I'm saying, defensive when he hears.
That's politics. That's called politics.
Yeah, I mean, and it just shows
driven.
you where his affiliations and his allegiances lie. It's not with the black community; it's with black people that align with the way he thinks.
Ooh, man, that's a serious charge.
And this is where we gotta, you know what I'm saying? This is where we gotta recognize. And
this guy's incapable of
charging.
That's
a serious charge there, Mitch. Did you hear what he just said?
He's mentally incapable of charging anyone.
Well, I heard him plainly. I heard him clear.
I think you're the only person that believes it. I think everybody who's ever listened to the both of us have dialogue would probably conclude that my intellectual capacity exceeds yours.
Oh my God, these two are so. The comments here, bro, is brutal. These people in the comments are some ninjas, man. They're cutting up.
You better stop talking about Trump. Otherwise, you're gonna be in the same boat as me.
Hey man, I don't care, bro. Trump, Biden, nobody likes me. The alphabet community don't like me because I said they have a mental issue. Democrats don't like me because I said something about them. Republicans don't like me because I said something about them. All I'm doing is speaking to the reality that I see, and maybe
I do the same thing, and I get called a Republican. That's crazy.
Me too. How can I be a Republican and a Democrat at the same time? I don't get that. Then I'm a what they call a homophobe because I shit, if I
Embrace
defend
it.
homosexuals on certain issues, I'm a homosexual. If I don't defend them, I'm a homo. I mean, I can't win. And all I'm going by is just what I'm seeing in reality, not what I hope to see or what I should see. I'm just saying what I see.
bigger. Why you can't recognize? I'm using that one example. Why you can't recognize, like, it's okay not to trust both parties, and you don't. And again, I'm not no Joe Biden fan. You don't see me walking around with a
Mitch,
red MAGA
you
hat
are a
like
You
Joe
Donald
are
Trump.
full
Biden
of
fan. Cut it
shit.
out.
You don't
You
see
lying
me.
like
You
a
don't see me with the
motherfucker.
American flag
Mitch,
This dude
in
is
the back of
lying
my
like
room.
a mug.
Mitch,
You're a
why you
liar,
On
lying
bro.
right
the
now,
left,
Mitch?
we don't do
You're
all
a
that
liar,
costume
bro.
dressing that they do, all that mascot dressing that they do.
I can't
Right?
Who's
take this
they, Mitch? Have you
conversation.
ever seen
All
me
we
with a
want,
MAGA hat on, Mitch?
all we want is whoever's going to get us to equality in this country.
Mitch, have you
And
ever?
That's
unfortunately, we have a
Nobody will
two-party
ever get us
system.
to equality.
Hold
You
nobody
up.
agree
will
with that,
All we
ever
right?
have
do
is a
that.
two-party system, and Joe Biden and this example gave 3.7 billion to 80 million. You see how they get riled up? You see how they start trying to water down and dilute
Hey, Biggie, you
what
can't
he
take
did?
this dude
Alright,
serious.
Well,
I
we
hope
can't
you're
really
not
give we
taking
can't
him
give him credit
serious
I'm
right
because we
now.
don't.
sorry. I can't. I'm sorry, guys. I don't. Hey, look. I can't. I
Before they
can't.
reach the edge, she reached the edge.
Damn.
You know what?
Damn.
I can't because he purposely misrepresents everyone here and tries to pigeonhole us into a specific group. And you're Republican, just like he tried to do you. Okay,
It's
well
all
you're
straw
all
man
Yeah, he
arguments.
was he was doing straw
It's all
man.
logical fallacy,
Yeah,
man.
it's a straw
He
man. It's a straw
he
man
tries to
fallacy that he
connect
used
things out
earlier.
of that have no relativity at all.
Yeah, he applied a straw man tactic in the red herring. I see it clearly, but it's still
It's all
interesting to see how he
conversation
does it.
theory. He just likes to
You know,
steer
it's
Which one?
interesting for you because you don't know Mitch, bro. I can't. I can only tolerate the
Yeah,
so-called Mitch. I
yeah.
can't. Sorry. I did
Somebody
it for a
said
long
bring Mitch
time.
back.
I'm not bringing Mitch back on. This is not a fruitful conversation. We were
Oh
having
boy.
an amazing conversation when we were
Hey, you
talking
know
about.
what? I ain't gonna lie. In real life, though, like, and see, that's the thing. I be trying to keep it civil and cool, right? Just because we professionals, we entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? We men, we and we women. We gotta operate in a way that is. You know what I'm saying? I always gotta act like if my son was present. You know what I'm saying? Like what?
Yeah.
How am I being perceived if my children are watching? And I'm flawed too. I make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? I get out of character, but that's just one of them brothers, man. He's a clown in real life. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Like
wow.
no, for real. I'm just keeping it 100, bro. Like that's a
Well,
clown. That's a
like I
clown
said, like
behavior.
I said earlier, man. We meet
And
people at
people
their
that
face,
condone
right?
that behavior, people that condone or support or side along with, like that's clown behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like clowns can't get support. Clowns have to be checked. Clowns have to be, you know what I'm saying, eradicated.
Wow. Boy, you are straight up Jesus. Oh my God. I don't know, man. I try
I
to
mean,
meet,
that's
like
just
I
not
said, I
like
try
that
to
ain't.
meet people at their space and then, try to find a commonality there. I don't mind the banter because I see, I'm kind of, I easily recognize when I'm seeing straw man tactics and red herring tactics. So when I see it, it's kind of interesting to
Yeah,
me
but
to
see,
see how far
but
they'll
that's what
push it.
that's what Sunni's expressing to you. This is your first time interacting with this brother.
Oh, you had
We've
enough, huh? Okay.
we've been interacting with this brother for 6-7 months now, and what you just heard tonight is literally, it's almost it is so redundant that it is scripted.
Yeah, your cup overfloweth.
It is the same conversation every time.
Yes,
Oh
man.
boy.
Every time.
I only entertained it because you were on, and I don't care how you feel about either party. I don't. I really don't give a shit. But I can't. I don't like. I can't stand people who misrepresent shit on purpose. That's what politicians
Yeah,
do.
intellectual dishonesty is not really a good thing to witness. I call it intellectual dishonesty. If you actually know better and then you purposefully misrepresent it, that's part of the social deception I was talking about earlier. You become part of that system, and that's not good. But if he probably doing it to sharpen his blades when it comes to political banter. So
He's an informant for the Democrat Party. Mitch is an
he
op.
says because they will turn on you if you bang on Trump.
Please bang on Trump so I can sit here and watch you do it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Hey man, like I said, I'm not. I was trying to tell him that I'm not
It's
binary,
kind of
man.
like
I'm not.
so listen, we've all seen this, like, you know, some type of video or imagery somewhere of like the malfunctioning robot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Mitch is. He's a malfunctioning robot.
He need
Like
grease and tweaking and reboot.
He doesn't know. He has all programmed responses. He doesn't have an independent thought in his mind. The way that he critiques you is based on either your affiliation with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, whether you like Trump or Biden. There is no other metric that he uses.
Well, he had a hard time with me then, because he was trying to figure out what's my stand is by projecting a binary thought, because that's what he was doing earlier. But I think he found that out. That's not how I operate. You know,
yeah,
I don't operate
that. That's why bro keeps saying we love Trump. Like, bro, I have never made a post about Trump. I have never praised Trump in any way, shape, or form. And the only thing that he could ever say that I said, which I openly say now, is that if I did vote, I would have voted for Trump over Biden. Now, that's because I have a different perspective. Nevertheless, I didn't vote, and that's because I don't even believe that people really understand the government that they inhabit. Politics is theater.
Mm-hmm. Political theater, yeah.
It is theater. He don't want to have conversations about how government really functions, about private entities that influence government. He doesn't want to talk about the bodies that operate under their own jurisdiction with little to no interference or regulation, like the IRS and the Federal Reserve, right? Or like how presidents just can make executive orders since Roosevelt served 4 terms as presidency, right? All of a sudden, presidents just got unprecedented power that is not supported anywhere in the Constitution. And Congress is de facto just operating against the Constitution constantly. People don't want to have those conversations, though, because that doesn't fit within the binary political
doctrine. I could tell you this. I lost a lot of friends because I bomb on Trump, and I lost a lot of friends because I bomb on Biden. So I'm caught in the middle. And it's because people want to put you in a box and say, hey, you are the Democrat or you're a Republican. They don't want you to have an independent mind.
Just for the record, right? Because I state this all the time, but my solutions are duplicate exactly what it is that they do. Look at how Congress members operate. Look at how elitists operate, right? Look. Notice that a lot of them own nothing and control everything. They operate through trust and foundations, right? That way they reduce tax exposure and they limit any liability on their assets. They focus on transferring wealth to the next generation. Their only focus is how can I amass as much power as I can while I'm living and pass it on to the generation that comes after me when I die. That's their sole purpose. So my solution is stop asking for handouts, stop being a minor, right? Stop staying in a state of fixed childhood and grow up and begin to acquire some sense of responsibility in terms of nation building, because that's something that's void in a lot of so-called black men. The government is daddy. They don't want to be the fathers, the warriors, the leaders of their own empire per se, right? They want to remain in the second class state and allow other people to make decisions for them.
Greetings, citizens of Rome, descendants of Al-Bilal. Oh yeah, I'm okay. You know, I was just listening to. I'm good. You know, Bigger. Is that you, Bigger? Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm in.
Yeah. You're a person who's willing to make the international connection. You know, to try and break the dominant value systems that we all suffer. So big at yourself, brother.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
And the host as well. Who's the hostess? Is the host Suni? What's going on, man? Greetings and greetings to the wealth mogul. Yeah.
My name is Deontay, bro.
Deontay. All right, big at yourself. Citizen X Unchained from the UK. Oh yeah. I was listening to the commentary, and you know, some things began to not trigger, but intrigue, maybe arm the nukes. But like I was thinking, there's a few things someone in the comments box said, don't you have your own government to take care of me being in the UK? But when you're black and you use a term like black, it blankets everywhere brown people are. And we also suffer the same dominant value systems from that old ancient perpetual hatred out of Egypt. It's nothing new. We just need to know what to do. And I see that people are still voting over the lesser of four evils.
Yeah.
You know, when you do that, you still keep the dominant value system of democracy or democracy in power. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and it's purposeful that way. That's the part of the imperialism, part of social imperialism. You see what I'm saying? So it's purpose. Don't think it's not something that was constructed. It was constructed to be this way, and it's working
It
well.
always, bro. This government that we live in currently is a de facto government, and it is a corporation. Now, it was always intended to be a corporation, but it was intended to be a de jure corporation, right? It was intended to be a rightful, lawful corporation recognized by the society and the inhabitants of people that formulated the government in the first place. And so that demonocracy that Brad is talking about, that is the illusion of a republic. We don't live in a republic. We're supposed to live in a republic. The solution is though, and you know what the solution is though? It goes back to the same thing every time. When you miseducate and when you deprive people of education and they don't understand law and economics, they are easily controlled and manipulated. If you have a population of people that understand economics and that understand law and know how to hold systems of government accountable, because government is a byproduct of people. It does not exist if people don't exist. But what can happen is people can and have created a machine that has grown so large that now that it runs on its own, right?
Okay, brother, so what about this special relationship, and sisters, brothers and sisters, what about this special relationship between America and the UK and the way that it governs the UN and NATO, and also this fact as well, that since the UK has left the European Union, since they've left the European Union, our human rights is now turned into a Bill of Rights, and it means that our government can go to war and be unaccountable. So this special relationship, does that kind of human rights stripping stretch to America? Well, of course it does, but
yeah, I mean, so we have to understand that,
I think we talked about that earlier.
America is nothing more than an extension of Britain. It is a subsidiary of.
I'm glad you said that.
And when people want to get into and really it's actually a subsidiary of the city of London, which is its own city-state with its own domicile. And London is not a part of the UK or England from a legal perspective. It is its own place, just like Vatican City is, just like Washington D.C. is. Nevertheless, though, there's always been a relationship.
But you know what? But you know what the special relationship is? It goes further than just.
It goes all the way back to the Treaty of Verona in 1213, when the Vatican acquired ownership of London.
Which is why I say citizens of Rome, because a lot of people don't understand these buildings you've just mentioned have the same Greek fashion about them. So it's Greek philosophy that's bleeding through, and the agenda of Greek philosophy is if you look around the city, any city, you might think it's a different city, but symbolism still has power as it had power from ancient times. So if you take down or take back the symbols used and take back the colors used, then you might actually channel the information and result differently. For example, I've been looking at Adinkra symbols from Ghana that are used to bring healing, to bring community togetherness. And I've been thinking about putting them on my clothes, on the walls in my house, and wherever they can be to draw in that power. Because there's a greater symbolism in power than there is in word, but they're used together. And I've been talking about this on radio recently. I'm going on radio today to talk about community healing knowledge and using ancient systems to not, you know, we shouldn't just talk about voting solutions and political solutions. We should talk about personal, physical, socio, biological, spiritual solutions, which is all about self. And when we re-engineer and refashion self, we take ourselves out of the furnace and out of the way, and then they have to find somebody else. But like you said, if you educate many people in many ways, well, not just many ways.
It's just unfortunate that what it is that you're suggesting or prescribing, while it is indeed a solution, right? That is enlightenment. That overall, if we can just summarize it into one word, it is enlightenment, right? Coming into knowledge of your surroundings, understanding.
Well, it's also returning to the original order, because everyone could be knowledgeable of the surroundings, but we have been disordered in society where the so-called black man, wherever he is, he's been pushed down to the bottom of society when we are supposed to be priests. And the black people themselves don't want to reclaim their priesthood. They want to reclaim money. So as long as they reclaim money, they go back to that ancient problem.
Well, let me throw something in there. Keep in mind, right? Again, the Monroe Doctrine is to ensure that American imperialism is at the forefront of power.
Yes.
So for every angle or tactic or organized platform that you have, they have one to counteract, one maybe two more to counteract that, to ensure that you stay in within the scope of their control. They may give you they might give you a sense of freedom, and you thinking that you actually makes gain, but they already have that in mind as well, because they give you a little rope and you thinking, oh, I made progress, when in actuality that is part of their plan as well. So the social,
can you address that? Think about it like this. Think about it like this, because this is a perfect example. Various different credible financial sources are projecting that by the year 2054, that black wealth in America will be $0. The median net wealth of black Americans is declining, right? At a time where the greatest transference of wealth ever is taking place. And so if either party is genuinely interested in reconciling and restoring and repairing, right, economic damages that it caused, right, it meaning the government, which both parties are members of, why are neither parties treating that as a national disaster, as a matter of emergency? Because if we are indeed allegedly citizens with equal rights, and they know historically that they did things to deprive us of the opportunity to build wealth and to create economic disparity, then wouldn't it be their responsibility to restore those opportunities to us?
No, you know what? Let me say this. We say things like they did this, but it was our building of monuments and the centralizing of all religions in Babylon, for example, under Nebuchadnezzar, what brought down our economic systems and allowed lesser societies that we bought up ourselves and gave civilization to usurp us. It took earthquake, it took famine, drought, and in-house fighting and monumentism to actually bring down our old Al-Kebilon. So it wasn't them at all. We should start giving power to them where it's not due, because then we're expecting them to fix a problem they did not create. We are the curators of our own destruction, and
I agree with you.
Creator of our own destruction. That's perfect. Yep.
We are the curators of our own destruction.
And one last thing as well about finance as well, and the difference between finance and wealth. Yes, that is a scare statement, a fight or flight statement from government to say that people or any people will be suffering because of lack of dollars. But the dollar won't be existent when we go digital. No currency will be existence when we go digital. But wealth will be transferred. You know, real estate.
We've already went digital in this country. There's and really this is consistent across the board with all nations that have central banks. We have central bank reserves, which only commercial banks can hold, right? We have fiat currency. We have bank deposits which are entirely electronic ledgers, right? And then we have U.S. treasuries, which are U.S. government bonds. So those are the four types of currency. So right now we already have digital currency. We just would be transitioning if and when it does happen to a fully digital currency, and there will be an exchange rate offered for the current fiat dollars that people possess. But wealth finance, my point in saying that is that what those documents are suggesting, what those articles are suggesting, is that the trajectory of Black wealth, the median trajectory of Black wealth in America is declining, regardless.
What about Africa, where they found a lot of gold that they can actually, we always find resources.
Oh, I'm not saying that we are really we have an insufficiency or lack of wealth. Wealth is abundant. It's unlimited. We were born with it. What I'm saying is, and what I just said may be true, right? But while that is true, nevertheless, what remains true as well is that a system exists. And I can walk around and feel like I was born wealthy and wealth belongs to me and affirm it and attract it to my reality. But nevertheless, I still have to do that within the mechanism that called commerce, that the majority of people participate in.
Yeah, commerce is part of the Commonwealth, part of common law, part of common sense and the common era. You see the common effect of these common things is that, look, for example, we've got the Commonwealth building up our town at the moment for 11 days of games. Here's another thing. When people like Jamaica national team, apparently they walked out of the Commonwealth Games during the part of the ceremony where an iron bull came out and started bleeding from the eyes. But then they go back in and win medals. That's like saying, Caesar, we don't like you throwing our Christian brothers to the lions, but we like your beer. So what are we willing to do and not do? Are we willing to actually form international relationships?
Yes.
And then pass that information across?
Which is what Dr. Khalid Muhammad was doing, which is what Malcolm X was doing. This is what
we're doing now. Yeah, I was speaking with someone on the radio.
And this is what we're doing now, exactly.
Just yesterday, called the other day, Kujo Black's Messiah from Ghana, and I posted some videos about it. And he is an historian and naturopathy healer, and he's linking us to ancient systems. But he translated back in 2000 for Malachi Z. York from American to Ghanaian and vice versa. So there are these kinds of people that exist.
York, huh?
Yeah, Dr. York, and they're all part of the same, I don't know what you call them. You mentioned Khalid Muhammad there, Farrakhan on that side. So there's a lot of factions, fraternities that are among people that serve themselves imperialistically. And the thing is, like, the real, if you look at what wealth is, it has to involve real estate rather than finance. Finance is not a real estate, is it? A real estate is a human being. We are a state ourselves.
We are a state ourselves.
Yeah.
And we also so from an etymology standpoint, I understand what you're getting at, right? You're unpacking the words and you're I don't know if maybe I don't know if maybe I conflated finance with wealth.
Not yourself. Someone in the comments box said we need money. So they've got finance, wealth, and the idea of money. Like, people who got the basic idea of money, that, we buy things in commerce and we get things done. They have a lesser understanding than people that understand finance, but the people that understand finance have a lesser understanding than people that know what wealth is. Because without no humans, the system does not run. So we need your mind, body, and soul participation. And in the stock market, they call you souls. In your local government, they state you as souls. In your local authority, they don't say you're and persons. So
when the system creates,
you want to live with people that know that, man. I'm just letting them know that we all on the same wavelength. Right?
There's someone there's people in the comments back that are not.
I was reading that. I see what you're saying. Probably answering the guy in the comments. But keep in mind, right? We're living in a reality where the social deception of what we need or want is like put to us in a certain way where we don't even know the difference. Because if you convince these people and very convincingly so, by saying, hey, monetary, cash, whatever, is what you need to in order to survive, to have these, to not have, you know what I mean? Then naturally, and then of course you find yourself shelterless because you don't have that money that they're talking about. You're going to fall in line.
So
You're going to fall in line. That's because the rubber meets the road now.
So you know what we need. You know what we need. What we need is order. We need
spiritual order.
We need structure.
Don't neglect it.
Yeah,
spiritual structure, to change your molecular structure, to change our decision-making structure. Like brother just said there, they have mechanisms and devices and certain statements and power words and symbols to divide us, which is why someone in the comments box earlier said, don't you have your own government to talk about? But yet he used the blanket word black. So when we actually work on healing ourselves because of the Haitian fallout, because of the recent history fallout, because of the family fallout now, because of the community fallout, and the self fallout between oneself, when we repair those rifts, what can happen realistically, because I've been going through it myself, I've been changing my perspective, my diet perspective, my physical perspective, physical diet, so that my starship can be managed correctly, because our body is a starship, and if we suggest onto it, we will go to a different gamma quadrant of doings. I'm just being adventurous with words. But what we can do is non-participate, non-integrate, because integration was a thing.
Not participate. Now, see, that's what I was talking about to Mitch.
Say that again, right?
Right. That's what I was trying to explain to Mitch. Like, hey, I choose not to be a part of this system of politics anymore. But now, but you see, what I was telling you about the mechanism is in place to push back against that statement that you just made, right? Because now when I say, no, I'm not part of that system, I don't like this person for that reason, you're that person. Now they try to put a binary belt around my waist. They say, oh, if you're not for Republican, then you mean you must vote for Democrats. If you're not for Democrats,
it's like domestic violence, isn't it? It's like domestic abuse relationship.
We keep putting people in boxes, man.
But brothers, don't you think it's domestic abuse?
Don't project your reality onto me, because I'm going to live the way how I see it. And if I'm very fine-tuned about it, then my path and my long-term situation is going to be epic. But if I follow yours, I'm going to be just in the bottom of the barrel, just like you. And you talk about, hey, we don't know what happened. No, I know what happened. I didn't follow my path. I didn't follow my path. I followed yours based on politics, group politics.
But see,
we got to free our minds, bro.
This is why it's extremely important for us to recognize that we have power beyond what we imagine, and we give so much power away. There's nothing stopping us except ourselves from constructing or formulating our own governmental systems within this system of government, right? But it's such a far-fetched idea that the majority of people will say, nah, I'm just going to go ahead and remain subdued and relied on one of the two options that have been provided to me.
Yes, my brother. Do you know how we were forced into the vote, by the way? Because I think people have forgotten. Like, we didn't vote for these systems before the red coats and blue coats business. And in fact, they used our brothers to fight their Confederate wars while those brothers were taken from their own homelands, or they migrated by choice, because we had in-house fighting. And we knew if we support a certain type of lesser mortal, that a system would thrive where others can hide. So it's like amongst us we have evil ones. We must say this. We've all think about. Well, I'm going to say this. Think about the first, if people understand, the first kings of Israel. Evil. He was Saul. Think about Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon, Persia, Nimrod, Marduk, where child sacrifice comes from, and Mammon, the first creator of money and financial systems. So these systems we know very well, but ignorance is bliss, and we choose to live in a lesser form of existence to have physical pleasure. It's quite simple. Physical pleasure in the place of logical cosmic doings, because we remember our place. We know our place is not to be in societies and concrete jungles, but yet they've created flat roads for us to transport and trade on, and things like this. So amongst us, there is a remnant of the people of El Kebilan, and I use the word El Kebilan because that's what it was called before it was ever called Africa by Julius Africanus.
I'm familiar.
Yeah. So when we connect,
do you listen to the Pills and to Al Kebilan, the brother on Instagram?
I actually don't, but I will start listening. If you signpost something, make that international connection, I can absorb some of that knowledge and reformulate. There's too much knowledge, but I have been looking at an Adinkra symbol. It says Nua, Onim Nua Sua, Ohu. It means he who does not know may know through knowledge, through learning. And there's a symbol for it. Again, it's an African Adinkra symbol. Does it exist in society now? Well, it looks like the hashtag a little bit. And
I'm curious just to know, if you don't mind me asking, are you you live in the UK currently, right?
Yes, I do, in Birmingham, yeah.
Were you born in the UK?
I indeed am part of the diaspora, yep, Caribbean.
Okay, and when you say diaspora, are you referring to Israelites?
No, that's just a part of the descendancy. There are some of us that are Arcturians, some of us are Atlanteans, some of us are Lemurians, some of us are from Lemba. Most of us are from the tribe of Lemba, amongst the black race, before the dispersion of the people. And then we were one. But when we came out of Egypt, we went into 4 different parts. Some of us with the Torah, some of us without.
So what do you think about the people that were here in the Americas already? The Olmecs,
okay,
the Alonis,
the Arawak,
the Arawak, the Mississippians, the Alonis, the Muskogee, all of these Negro tribes.
I have 3 parts to my existence. I have Arawak, I have Kingstonian, and I also have Ghanaian. So that's 3 parts of the world. You know what I'm saying? The left, the
Arawaks were shipped from Americas to UK.
Yes, indeed. And so the women were shipped because they were good for mating. And then on the right-hand side, the men good for fighting. They meet in the Caribbean with that pirate-ass island, you know, where there was rum and prostitutes because of Europe. And then from there, it was lawless. So we talk about law a lot, but what about the lawless places? Like you said, in the Americas, there was no laws like we have now. They had to destroy the existing inhabitants and trade with them and have treaties of wickedness. So we have to unpeel these things.
Well, I would say amongst the civilized tribes, there was indeed order and law. When you look at the original Articles of Confederation, a lot of it was borrowed from what was already established as functional law amongst the civilized indigenous tribes. So I agree with you. There's a lot of nuance there. But so let me ask you this, right? Because a lot of so-called black people will hear the things that you're saying, right? And it's at such a high level, it's at such a high frequency, they don't view it as practical. They don't view it as a tangible solution. You're suggesting that people get in tune with their inner self, they reach a higher state of knowledge of self, that they spiritually reconstruct their entire existence. That just seems
carry some frankincense. So, for example,
so let me ask you this: what from a pragmatic perspective?
Yes, sir.
What functional solutions can so-called black people, right? And when I say that, I mean that in this context, in an all-encompassing manner, right? Around the world, what can we begin to do to level the playing field, where, because I am not a proponent of, me personally, of having formerly been a black nationalist, right? I no longer am a black nationalist. I don't want supremacy over other beings. I want supremacy over my own existence. And that's the difference. So
I'm gonna answer that now. Have you heard of, so we know about artificial intelligence, and Brother Kujo Black's Messiah has reminded me recently about natural intelligence. So out of natural intelligence comes artificial intelligence. Out of the black man comes the white man and his system. they don't, this the white man system is only 6,000 years old or so. So we are able to return to knowledge systems that predate them. And it's by purging ourselves, not just of inward iniquity, because you can't expect to get something righteous done as an outcome, and we're not returning back to natural systems. We're still eating chicken and slave food. We're still digesting sports as entertainment and fashion as well. 7 deadly sins. So we need to take back control of our welfare situation, of our personal identity, and that's probably the hardest one. People overcoming their own personal settings of joy, sadness, and feeling hard done by, or feeling like they're owed something. You're only owed what you do. Like, for example, there's a law of the universe, the law of compensation, or the law of cause and effect. Now, the systems that create that around us, input output. So the systems that created that we live in now, and look at all these buildings we have here. That I'm in the city centre of Birmingham. Each and every one of these buildings, you got a police building, you got a business building, you got some other building there. None of these buildings, there's employees there, all leading towards policy. And what we're supposed to do is turn to our family members and say, haven't you been working that job for quite some time now? Don't you think you are still working for you have to challenge people. There's nothing wrong with challenging people on their perspective and changing it. And I think we should change our perspectives back to nature. When was the last time people walked in nature, complained to a tree, which can absorb your issues and still give you nature, rather than complain to your local politician who's going to give you some statement and some fight or flight response? Like, we need to really heal ourselves on a consistent basis. We have to observe the celestial Passovers. And we have to actually be in line with nature rather than nurture ourselves in
unfortunately, right? Aspirational solutions are just that. We could aspire all these things we want. We must have a frame of mind that is ready to receive practical and tangible,
pragmatic
things. That you got to be pragmatic. What you we already should realize that people are so deceived already that expecting them to reach a level of awareness, that's improbable. It's highly improbable.
It's highly improbable.
Highly improbable.
And it's inefficient.
Right.
So
now,
watch this. Hold on.
Sorry, guys.
Wait. So let me say this, right? So one thing, and this is just what I observe to be a flaw that we as so-called melanated Black people have, which is, and you alluded to the white man system being in effect for roughly 6,000 years now, right? However long it's been in effect, right? I'm not really concerned with the number. What I want to examine is that when they went on their imperialistic venture and began to conquer, right? They did not do so with and don't misconstrue. I'm not saying there's not ritualistic practices going on at a high level. I'm not saying there's not sorcery and things like that happening. What I'm saying is that their approach is very pragmatic. It's very A plus B equals C. And it lacks emotion because it is purely logical. They don't. It is also very insensitive and what many of us would perceive to be inhumane because
it's based on survival.
We have hold on. We have always been spiritual people, more spiritually inclined. We have always been more in tune with nature and with emotion, and we have always sought peace over war, and that is not their nature.
That's a weakness, a tangible weakness. Unfortunately, it's a tangible weakness.
It's a tangible weakness.
And the results are clear.
And the results are clear.
Not necessarily because
so all I'm proposing as a practical solution is listen. We all heard the saying: if you hang around 5 wealthy people, you will be the 6th, right?
True.
Why? Because it is a process of duplication. You are mirroring what you see that is already acquiring success. And
so you're mirroring capitalists.
Yeah, and yes. And so here's the thing. And this is where it's good for brothers like you and me to talk, right? Because this is order, right? And every nation has a variety of different leaders that serve different purposes and different archetypes, right?
Yeah.
I think, right, like, when they talk about wartime presidents, right? I think that we need to recognize that we are in a war, and that we do not currently possess the resources within the system that they've constructed, right, to have enough of a bargaining chip, right, to demand some of that, some reciprocity, and to demand some control over our existence. Now, I'm not saying that the resources don't exist. I'm saying that we have not collected them as a collective.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
And so the problem is when we think functional and practical solutions, one of the key approaches should be, how do we find ways to actually create, because they have a Republican Party and a Democratic Party. When in the UK, they have parliament, right? And they have different parties. They have seemed to be able to functionally organize themselves in a way that they can represent their desires in a political and economic sphere. But we don't have that. We are merely participating in their parties and in their system. And so, so if capitalism, right, is designed, it really, capitalism at its bare, if we want to look at it from a negative perspective, it's about exploitation.
Yes.
If we want to look at it from a positive perspective, it's about thriving. It's about individually thriving.
And competition.
And as an individual, if you can thrive, then it is your morality, and it is that will determine how your thriving impacts other people around you. Capitalism is not inherently bad. Capitalism is merely a byproduct of human nature.
The capitalism's why we're here, because we, like I said earlier, we used to build monuments to kings, queens, and emperors and empresses and deities, and all the resources we had were centralized.
I agree.
And copious amounts of stuff for idealism. Now we have to not.
I'm not disagreeing with the history of capitalism.
So let me finish. It's not tangible now to practice the same. What we're doing is practicing the same philosophies in a different generation. Same shit,
hundreds of years later. Yeah, it doesn't work. No.
And so the practical solution would be, like you said earlier, education. And I think it was a Black Panther leader who was killed at the age of 21. He said, if we have education before action, we'll overdo it. That'll be something. But if we have action before education and just give Black people the money, and poor people money, then what will happen is they'll just repeat the imperialism process and capitalist process again. So what we have to do...
He's saying what people don't want to hear.
Go on.
Yeah. I mean, again, you have to meet people at their space, right?
True.
Because remember, you require action on their part to make that machine move. So you have to meet those people at their space. Now, you're going to have a majority of those people at that space that's not going to even come close to the level that you're talking about, and they don't understand. So now that's going to frustrate you even more, because you're like, how could you not understand what I'm talking about? It's because the system that we are in is made up to ensure that deception remains what it is. That's why we are at the conditions we are now. So it's a tangible and a realistic outcome when you think about it, despite all the aspirations we have and what we know we should do. And when he said we, I'm talking just a few of us, not all of us, because it's really hard for you to suggest that a group of people, majority, knows what to do, yet don't do it in order to empower themselves. That's ridiculous. That logic is not sound.
But what makes us think, though, brothers and sisters?
Because
So
if
so
you
so
if you
so
if you
so wait
say
a minute.
because if you
Wait a
say
minute.
otherwise,
Wait.
then that
So
means we're
bigger.
purposefully diving into our destruction knowingly.
So exactly. Bigger. So let me ask you something, right? Because I heard you say something earlier, right? And you pretty much said that it's a solution for our people is not impossible, but it's highly improbable.
The solution that's being presented.
Okay, that's being
Yeah.
presented. Now let me ask you this, right? When we talk about education, and I'm asking the both of you this,
right? Yeah.
When we talk about education, are we saying that we need to expand the educational infrastructure that exists currently,
Yes.
or are we saying that we need to separate and create our own educational infrastructures?
I think it needs to be. I think it needs your first choice to option that you gave. I think that would be the more how should I say it? The more practical to move, because remember, again, we're in the system, right? And the system is not just made up of us. So if we educate everyone and alleviate that type of ignorance to say, hey, this is the path that we need to take, I would rather take that path. However, again, the machine is there to push back on that. We know that. It's there to push back on that. So now what? Is it attrition? Are we going for attrition now? Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's very delicate. You see what I'm saying? It's attrition now. So is it practical to go for attrition versus individual, like a group? Well, we know our numbers are not that big. So there's no way the individual group is going to work. So we have to go for the attrition. It's war by attrition, because even though some of these people that's outside of our pedigree, hold on. Give me a second. I got to land before I lose this.
I need to make sure I understand what attrition means, though. Are you saying attrition meaning putting more Black people in education?
No, I'm talking about attrition, meaning those that going to increase the numbers to increase the amount of people that's going to accept the solution that we're putting forward, whether you're white, Black, Mexican, whatever. You see what I'm saying? Because if we draw it back to only our group, that number is not going to push against the status quo enough for us to get anything tangible. It's just not going to work, right? So if we
always riding mid, Sunni.
So if we recruit those people who have logic and sense on a sense of spiritualism that's outside of our pedigree, that means that we're going to be more. We have a higher probability of success. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And an example of that is go on.
So attrition is like it's opposition. It's trying to weaken the force of something. So,
yes.
By force.
Yes.
So when you said attrition, my question was, is the solution to expand the current educational infrastructure, or is it to create our own educational infrastructure? You said the first option. Can I land on that one? You said the first option was more practical, and then you said that you said something along the lines of we could do that by way of attrition. So I'm thinking that means injecting more people that look.
No, he said it would be attrition. He didn't say we should do it by attrition. He said it would be attrition if we were to take a certain course. If I'm correct. May I land on this question though, brothers, that you just said about? Yeah, I'd say it's a bit of both, and another third option as well, because we do live in a world of abundant choices, but we limit ourselves to few options. You know, when you go to a child and say you have the option of chicken and chips or mashed potato and vegetables, but you don't have a choice of whatever you want to do. That's like attrition, right? Is that like attrition? Where you create something and there's an option, but there's not a choice.
Here's the way I'm looking at it. Again, I have to look at it from a tangible perspective. Because remember, I'm of a military mind. I've been in the military for 20 years. So when I look at things, I have to look at it in terms of tangible results or a high probability of success.
Let me use that then.
if we're what 13%, let's just call the United States. We're 13%. I think you guys over the UK are 4%, right? That number is not enough to move this machine that we are a part of, which includes every pedigree, right? To the point that we want to move it. Therefore, if we really now, that means we have to recruit or impress upon the populace as a whole and gain the numbers from them as well. So now we have those that is not of our pedigree,
which also seems highly improbable.
Why did
no, that's not highly improbable, because that's what was done with Martin Luther King March and so on and so forth. There was groups of them marching with us.
Let me now, brothers, just still on this topic here. So let me ask you this as well, and then I want to come back to landing. So how did Russia win its war? Actually, let me answer it. There was a time where their land was vast. So when the forces, the opposition forces came over, they weren't trained to be on that land and live a certain way during war. And also the weather came and helped. So a lot of people are thinking that it's just human thought power and human doing which solves problems, when nature's there backing somebody each and every way. So those who actually have an affinity, well, you can either have an affinity to respect nature, that's natural intelligence, or you can usurp nature like some sort of scientist and manipulate it. So we have to actually get back to being the manipulators of nature for our own positive gains. We can't allow people to create what they create with our natural resources, which belong to us and are of us. This is why we still have earthquakes, pestilence, and famine thriving, not because humans want it to. They're rising and emerging again because that is the balance of nature. And if we neglect the balance of nature, even in a relationship with the man and woman, or with a household, with a family and siblings, and then in community, and then in society, and then in a national sense, and then global, if we neglect these relationships and the value of this, I'm going to use the word spirit, because they use the word spirit when they're talking about business philosophies, and when they're talking about, again, local authorities. They use the word souls, spirit, and persons to diversify us. Those who set the spiritual foundations of an idea, because an idea by itself is not tangible. It doesn't set nowhere unless it has a weight to it, and the weight is the spirit which sets upon a person. You need this because you need food because you're hungry. So the spirit of feeding people, food banks and stuff, is that we're doing a good thing to sustain people. We have to change our philosophy, and let me try and make sense of this. We have to change our philosophies again, so that, because philosophy is at the heart, it's the spirit, it's what breathes activity. You know, we have to challenge them at political level, challenge ourselves at local personal level, and conform our choices differently. We can't just keep expecting certain outcomes on the global or national scale when we're still looking for slovenly men and women in our personal relationships, or if we're still eating food killed and slayed and preyed upon. These things do bleed into our existence. We have to get brave in changing away from our taste buds and pleasure seeking.
I agree.
You know, and we have to get to the bitter taste of medicine, which is the hard work of being a priest or priestess for your own self, but there are priests in you.
Here's the thing. Because again, I try to meet people at their space, right? And if I'm part of a group that is trying to reach an end goal, right? And then you have philosophies of what we should do, what we ought to do. We have the aspirational solutions and so on and so forth. And then do you have maybe a group within that group that says, okay, that's all fine and dandy, but here's the pragmatic approach that we're going to move this bar because we know that the opposition is real. Therefore, the opposition comes down to physics, right? Somebody's going to push back, someone's going to push forward. So with that, like if the so-called natives had put aside spiritualism and humanism when they first meet these demons that approach their shores and slaughter all of them, things could have been different now. Who knows? You see what I'm saying? So when because of my experience up to this point, I'm only interested in the bullets and gun smokes of this thing. Somebody else could deal with somebody else could deal with the philosophies. And so when you're ready to put things down the road, that's when you call me up, because we need me on that.
Hey, Big, I like you, bro, and I like the other brother as well. What's your name again, bro?
Citizen, yeah. Citizen has the high spiritual level to what we need. I have the bullets.
No, I'm also pragmatic.
But that's what I'm talking about. Pragmatic. So I said that we all have archetypes, and I noticed that he keeps using the word priest and priestess, and those archetypes exist, and we need those, right? That is a function of the body,
exactly,
right? But I also talked about wartime presidents, right? Because the bullets and the gun smoke is the reality. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with the King Alfred plan. I don't know if you've ever read that, right? It's alleged, and it is hypothetical. It is not factual, but allegedly, this is a document that was produced by the U.S. government, and pretty much all of the three-letter agencies were in on it. And what it is it's a plan on how to respond to insurrection from Black America. If Black America attempted to revolt or insurrect in any way, shape, or form. And to the brother's point, even factoring in the reclassification, right, of indigenous people, even factoring in that a lot of people who are really all have genetic similarities as far as their origin and their bloodlines and their lineages, but they have different phenotypes and appearances, right? Are going under different umbrellas. Some are calling themselves Puerto Rican, some are calling them.
Oh, what's happened? I'm spinning out. I think I'm spinning out. Are we still here? Are we still there?
I think he's gone. I think he's gone. I don't know what happened. But somebody asked what plan he was talking about. I think he was talking about the King Alfred plan.
Okay.
I think that the King Alfred plan, if I remember, is like, if I got it right, if that's what he's talking about, it's like a CIA. It was a CIA scheme.
Operation.
Yeah.
Counter. So what's it called? Subversion operation. You know what you said earlier about greetings to the person who just came in the room as well, by the way. Empress Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius. I'm gonna follow you.
What?
Yeah. So
hey, I'm gonna drop down in the comments because I might have to flee. But I'm gonna listen for about 5 more minutes. I'm gonna listen for about 5 more minutes, and I'll probably take off. But let's see if we could get Dante back up here. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to drop down shortly as well. I'm leaving my college. Just to say what you said there about how to subvert and suppress Black, rising. And it doesn't mean just physically, it means consciously as well and spiritually. There's a movie called Ants. Has anyone seen it?
The Disney film.
It's a film. It's an animation by Disney and Pixar called Ants.
I'm aware of it. I haven't seen it. I'm aware of it.
There's a scene in there where the cockroaches. I've just come back from some attrition of destroying some ants, and then one of the main general cockroaches says, "Why you let one of the ants get away?"
Yes.
And their response was, "They're just one ant."
Yeah, and he said, yes, I know exactly the scene you're speaking about. I know exactly the scene you're speaking about.
Yeah. So it's just one ant. How do you let one ant get away? And they were laughing. It's just one ant. They're scrawny. And then the general used an example. He's got like a pipe with, I don't know, say they're beans or some sort of food in there, little circle beans. And he goes, "Tell me, how does this feel?" And he lets one out, and it comes out, bops him on the head. Boop. And then there were crickets, or grasshoppers. So one bops him on the head. He's like, "Boop." That didn't hurt at all, kind of thing. And then he goes, "Okay." And then he goes and lets them all out. And there's a mountain of little, little, whatever you call them, food, whatever it is, and they bury them. And it's like, if you let one through or rise up, they'll all rise up. And they outnumber us like 7-1. So that's a simple math in an animation of Disney and Pixar, you know. So go on, go ahead. That, like, I know you've been watching and listening as well, but why do they do this? Why do they give certain real world psychology, sociology in a broken down way like that, but then they go to parliament or government or Congress and they use double speech to throw people off? And how does it work?
Because they're not the same people. They're not the same people. They're not the same people. The people who write in the script, not the people that's going to parliament. That's all. Can you hear me?
I'm a bit. I have to get closer because I'm on the bus, unfortunately. Sorry, carry on. I can hear you though. You want to speak a bit louder?
I was saying it's because they're not the same people. But what I wanted to ask you is, I know what you're saying about the food, but in what ways can we start to rebuild our community outside of the food? Because not everybody's going to subscribe to that. What are the other ways that we can start rebuilding our communities and our people?
Okay, I love that one because I'm participating in that now, Empress Aquarius. I've recently gained an opportunity to go back on a local community radio station, a black community radio station. So that's another voice avenue, as well as Instagram and social media and writing in general. So, you know, becoming authors is a way, and orators and speakers is a good way to participate in your local community upkeep. So when I go on radio, I specifically talk with, I don't talk about bashment, dance hall, popular culture, sexualization, you know, which we have these conversations in a controlled manner because we have to be aware of the mission constantly. If we ever lose, here's one answer: never losing sight of the mission. And we have to define and redefine what our mission is, rather than get caught.
Just to say, what is the definition of your mission? Because for many people, what they would rely on is being able to go back to consistently hearing what your mission is and how the mission needs to be carried out. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the definition of your mission? Like, how do you?
Okay, I like that one again. Now, if I used my artificial intelligence, what I've learned, what I like and what I don't like in the system, you know, based upon the confinements of society, I might appease or displease some people. But if I use natural intelligence, yeah, that's a completely different distinction, because out of the natural comes the artificial. The artificial doesn't come before the natural. So we have to vibrate on a higher frequency of feeling, and we have to seek a higher potency of information. It is out there. We have to experience in the environment, not just the physical concrete jungle and its processes. You have to move ourselves. Like when we have a child, for example, the child moves from the womb into the parent's hands, and then we're supposed to create a pathway for them to grow. We don't just throw them into a cage. We don't just throw them into the sea. We don't just throw them up a mountain. In fact, if you look at the animal kingdom, they do that. If you live in a nest at the top of the tree, you get kicked out because you have to fight or fly or die. But humans need to stop doing that and stop being animalistic. We need to stop having a consumer mindset and have a creation mindset. You know, how much things do we consume rather than create? You know, and what type of animal are we similar to? You know, so we have to redefine our inward self. And how is that easy? Is that as easy as defining the outward self? Well, it has to be done together and not separately. You know, the institutions we go to, how often have you gone to school or sent your child to school, if you have children, and had to contend with a new policy which says we're going to teach your child this now? Does that go against your nature, that artificial idea? And what do you do about it? Do you go and destroy the building, or do you go to your local parliament house and standards and quality committee? Do you go alone, or do you go as a group? So we have to learn to get groups, small groups together. Groups of 7, groups of 12, groups of 35. You know, odd numbers work better than even numbers for some reason. In those groups, we have to define a work together. Women can do it separately, men can do it separately. That can inspire you. So I think we have to be ready to do the work. And some of us who can do the work need to do the work. We can't expect people to reform otherwise. You know, some of us have higher knowledge, greater experiences. We have some of us have different capabilities. And I've recently been learning, if you're born on Monday, you know, looking at African spirituality, they give their children names based upon certain things. They don't just give them random names. Yeah, you have to give them names that are rooted to the world, rooted to your environment, rooted to your history. And then you have to continue this trend. You know, rather than call your child Macy Lou, which has no meaning whatsoever. You know, we used to give ourselves names like my name's Antonio Forsyth. It should be something like Antonio of the Forsyth clan, or something else which defines where your heritage is from. So Parliament can't come to you and say, you are this person on paper, that's your number, and this is your criminal record, and this is what, you know, and deal with you based upon survival. You have to make demands, you know. And how do those demands get met? As an individual, you can't do it alone. You need to form groups. Whether it's your family, whether it's your relationship, you know, do your partnerships work out with your boyfriend and girlfriend? Are they a good partnership? What work can you get done together? You know? And I like to say, apply symbols to that. I'm going to take it further and say, hey, refashion yourselves. Yeah, so I don't have to get off the bus now, Empress Aquarian. I think I am following you. I've requested, and thanks to the host for welcoming me, and for the guests for not being too harsh with my English accent, you know. But my knowledge is universal, and it suits your mind and heart if we can take the least line of resistance and look with a fine-tooth comb. So thanks for having me. Much love, much love. Wishing you love, light, and liberty in life. Oh yeah.
Enjoy the day.
Oh yeah. Oh, before I go, look at my recent videos. I've also put some videos. I've been on radio and some conversations about ancient healing and knowledge, pragmatic things, forming those groups, those international connections. Men wear frankincense, women wear myrrh. They have healing and different properties. Use it. Get susumba to work against certain physical things. Yam, which is an ancient food, you know, rather than having McDonald's and Chuck E. Cheese and all these kind of things and then complaining. So let's be pragmatic about it and have results that matter and that means something. Oh yeah. Thanks, hostess.
Thanks for your contribution.
Thank you for having me. Much love.
Well, guys, cool talking to everybody for a couple hours. It's dinner time here, and I'm starving, and my brain is just done. Mitch gave me a fucking headache. I don't know your name, but maybe next time we can hop on earlier and we can